text. It's that easy.
Text STAY to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone-boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now, and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text STAY to 42424. That's STAY to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
And welcome aboard. A live edition of TMA the day after Christmas. This is not a recording. Doug Vaughn is sitting right there. You can see him on YouTube. The chairman, Kurt, running the show. Jackson and Tim are out. They were here Monday, Tuesday. Doug had a little break in the action. KG and I ride it out the whole week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You didn't even get... Well, you weren't here yesterday, right?
Well, we came in. We just did a little dry run, right? A little sound check. We were here for about 5 hours yesterday.
Were you really?
Actually, Chairman Kurt, you were here yesterday on Christmas.
Yeah, I came in last night, wrapped up the family Christmas festivities, and decided I wanted this morning to go just a little bit smoother, so...
No fooling.
Came over here to the studios at Creve Coeur. I was the only person around, Doug.
The only one in the building.
There was a guy here, actually. Never had seen him before, but he was...
robbing the place?
Doing the, I guess, the board for the national programming for the football game.
Okay.
So I just worked back in the cuck booth, back by the old studio.
Yeah,
and
he was in the Cuck booth, Doug. Is that sponsored, the Cuck booth?
Well, we tried to get it sponsored. Couldn't find anyone.
just knocked some things out last night.
It is a little unsettling when you're in a building, and I'll run into Fox 2 on weekends. Sometimes I do a little something, and you'll see somebody walking down the hall you've never seen in your life, especially now. And you just wonder, are they an invader? Are they an intruder?
Probably
Maybe more
so.
intruder than invader. But you wonder, should I say something to somebody? And then you find out, oh, he's the regional VP. He's in from Dallas. You're like, oh, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get you arrested.
Well, there's not a lot to steal in a station.
No.
Really. Chairs, I guess. It's not like there's any cash here. Or anything.
We take our takes home with us over the weekend.
That's
take our takes
All the
home.
valuable stuff gets taken home.
Well, I'm looking forward to this. We got a lot of holiday cheer to discuss. We have Yuletide banter. That's in segment 1, Doug. We'll talk about the Chiefs in segment 2. But you noted in the 9 o'clock hour, specifically at 9:30. Let's just have a little fun in this segment and see what happens.
All right.
So, folks that are listening, stick around till 9:30 because we're going to have a little fun and we'll see what happens.
Is that what you write when you're just out of ideas?
I think that you cracked the code, Doug.
Okay.
Crack the code.
Yeah, there was 16 cells to fill on the dossier.
Don't say cells.
That's what they are.
Okay.
And I had most of my cells filled. There was a couple that were just left a little blank. And you know what? I said, let's just have a little fun and see what happens. I think that might end up being the best segment of the day.
I don't know.
Truth be told.
Is that kind of a hackneyed radio thing where people on shows say, well, we just have some fun. We don't have anything planned. We're just going to have some fun.
Shut up, Doug.
Oh, stop it, buddy.
It is less hackneyed than saying, coming up next, we'll fix the entire AFC. Stay tuned. And you're like, what are they going to? You're going to fix the entire... Why the NFC can't contend with the AFC. That's next.
Now, those are
That's
Tex-Miss.
That's more hackneyed. I prefer... Let's see what happens. Let's have some fun. And including the 10 o'clock hour, Doug, which every segment is titled Board Meeting.
Okay. And what does that mean?
The chairman said that is code for smut and stuff.
Yeah, I didn't want to...
Smut and stuff.
Which is what I've been asked. Hey, Martin, how do you like that new show? How are you handling all the smut and stuff?
Oh.
Yeah, I wanted to hearken back to the days of... the Dear Deidres of the world.
Really?
Things like that. So,
Deidre Hall?
Yeah, I thought, Jackson usually takes over the 10 o'clock hour with the 6-shooter, I think you're familiar with.
Sure.
The weekend wrap-up.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Wide Berth Wednesdays.
Oh, right.
But seeing as though I am the chairman, I figured we could call the 10 o'clock hour the board meeting today.
Oh, I see.
Are you taking questions? Because I was wondering.
I'll
because
take
we have Chairman Steve and we have Chairman Kurt. How did you earn your moniker?
I believe it was given to me last spring when I was bestowed the prestigious honor of putting together the TMA Fan Page Club Championship golf tournament. And I think it was just kind of an homage to Chairman Ridley with the Masters.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So, yeah, the name Chairman Kurt just kind of stuck like pockets.
It was bestowed on you.
I like it.
It's a lofty title.
It is. I might work on some merch for the TMA STL shop, maybe some chairman swag.
Right. Well, when you're a chairman, there's some lofty expectations and a lot of money that goes with a title like that.
One of the two, yeah.
But that's why he will be in charge of smut and stuff in the 10 o'clock hour. We do have a text line people seem to enjoy. That text line is brought to you by Air Comfort Service, 399-9646, 314-399-9646. The phone line, now it's going to be tough because the chairman normally answers the phones.
Right.
He's running the board. He's going to have a drop fest because he's creating a rivalry with Jackson, who has, in fact, a drop auditor to see if he's played enough drops. But the phone line is there for you, the Collier and Thompson phone line. Who wouldn't be listening at 7:05, Doug, thinking, I need to call in?
Well, you should be.
314-974-0101. The time check, Clarkson Jewelers, 7:05 on this day after Christmas. We've got the podcast as well that's brought to you by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Studio cameras, Doug. You got up early, powdered your makeup on because you knew you'd be on television. Air Alliance team brings you that. Got that 101 ESPN app. It's brought to you by the Schaefer Door Company. We have great sponsors, and we ask you, as always, to support the sponsors. Doug, you've been doing Christmas with kids, I'm sure, for years. Yeah. Is there anything worse than some assembly required? Christmas Eve, I channeled my inner Mad Dog Russo, and I said to myself, God, I hate Christmas. And
really?
He said that last week in the middle of a take about the Chiefs' starting time because he said it was for people in Pakistan, that it was later their time, early our time. But putting things together, following the diagram.
What did you have to assemble?
This particular one, so it's Christmas Eve. We'd been to Cousin John's. We had a great time. Couldn't go to bed. My wife said, we've got a chair to put together. One of the kids had a new computer chair. But the diagram, to me, was lacking. You can always scan a barcode and watch the video. Doug, do you think I know how to scan the barcode and watch the video? No, instead, I just sat there, drank a little Jack Coke, and screamed at the chair that was sitting in front of me in about 50 parts. It's
and the directions are just hideously written.
Yes.
I mean, you don't have a clue if you just read the directions.
X1 times 4 goes... I'm doing algebra. Whatever the cost is, I told my wife, because I complain about the expense every year, because every kid's got to have 48 presents.
Right.
And I said, I think I'll pay extra. I don't care what it is for them to come assembled. It's my least...
Large chair, small chair?
It's a pretty large computer gaming chair, apparently, is what it is. Got to have the right chair, because you've got this great computer, now you got to have the right chair. But the most embarrassing part is she gets up Christmas morning, goes down there, and just starts knocking it out. And she's very technologically sound. Her brain, my brain just cannot wrap itself around. No. I lent a hand, but that was it.
We're takesmiths. We're not mechanical engineers.
Right. Honey, I am a takesmith. How could I possibly?
Sometimes it is easier just to look at it and try to figure it out rather than read the directions.
That's kind of what she does. She says, I need to see the finished product, and then I can kind of walk through it. The directions... It looks, it was from China, I'm sure, but they look like Chinese to me. I can't understand, even though it's in English. It made me say I hate Christmas, Doug, and I regret saying that, if only to myself.
But you did get the chair done, or she got the chair done.
She got it done. I had a marginal, what would that be in hockey, like a second assist, not the first assist.
You didn't really do much. It just happened to hit your hands.
These guys are some dumb mothers.
Okay. All right. All right, that's
And then I saw my father-in-law last night, and he said when we were kids, they would put out the Sears catalog, his parents. And he said you'd circle 15 to 20 items that you just loved and thought you just had to have. He said, and we always got 2, a toy and a piece of clothing that the parents knew you needed that clothing for school or for Sunday school or whatever anyway. He said, every year, one fun thing, one piece of clothing. And that was it.
Do you know there was a time when Sears used to sell entire homes?
In a catalog?
In a catalog. You'd order an entire house, and a truck would come with all of the wood and the pipes and everything to build it your own damn self.
To build it?
Yes.
Oh.
You had to put it together yourself. And people would get neighbors and friends, and they'd all come and build their house.
Were they Amish?
No, this went on all over America.
Really?
Yeah, there's a certain look to it. They say you can still spot a Sears home because it has a certain look to it.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
I love the poorly educated.
Well, these people had to be educated. They knew how to do things. We know how to turn things on now. Our forefathers, they knew how to actually do the things. Most of us can't do a darn thing.
Yeah, I'm clueless.
Can't begin to work on our car. You know, my parents' generation, they obviously changed the oil themselves. They would change the spark plugs. At least my generation, we could change a tire. Nowadays, people don't do anything.
I would love to know how to change my own oil, because going to get an oil change is like going to a dentist that's not 100 West Dental, if you ask me. I hate going to get an oil change.
You hate spending the money on it?
No, just the whole process, just having to go do it. I'm typically over by however many miles, and I feel like an overdue patient that's, I feel like I'm getting judged, and I just don't like the whole thing.
Sir, your car was due in last week. Didn't you notice on the odometer? It's the oil. I'm sorry, I don't need to be shamed here. This segment will be labeled "The Olds Complain." I'm going to write down what I've learned today. I also thought it'd be fun on the text line if Doug was taking questions today, because Tim and I just riffed a little bit the other. We started telling, I don't know why, but we started telling Mike Shannon stories. Oh. That took up about the first 15 minutes of the show. And it was Christmas Eve, Doug, and I think that's what the people wanted.
Oh, I think so.
Mike Shannon. Do you have a Mike Shannon story? They did retell the visit here, I believe. He was maybe going to the bathroom while doing a hit with you guys.
Oh, he did that.
And he got mad because you asked about the Washington Nationals. And he didn't want to talk about the Nationals.
No, he didn't. They were like in last place and going nowhere. And I asked something like, what would you do to try to get them turned around? He didn't care for that. But he really was a nice guy. He was a great guy.
You probably interviewed him a million times.
Oh, I did. Yeah. It couldn't have been any nicer. He was just a one-of-a-kind type of human being. And perhaps the best high school athlete that St. Louis has ever produced. One of them, all-around athletes.
You obviously didn't see me on the diamond at Seckman in 2002.
Huh. Well, did you play football as well?
No, Seckman was so bad at football that I feared
Shout out to
injuries.
So you're putting your career up against Mike Shannon's, who was going to be Mizzou's starting quarterback and appeared in the major leagues at the age of about 20.
I mean, it's different eras. It's like apples to oranges.
Right.
I mean, I don't know who he was playing against. I was facing Max Scherzer and David Freese was out there. So,
he was facing Willie Mays and Sandy Koufax and
not in
Juan
high school.
Marichal. No, but in the major leagues.
I don't know if do you even know anything about the Suburban South Conference in the early aughts?
I played in it. Oh, well. Not in the early aughts, I didn't, but
You were probably covering it, Doug. You were probably there at one of those games.
Kirkwood was in the Suburban South.
Isn't Alvin Miller on that list, Doug? Greatest
Probably
high
would
school.
be.
Alvin Miller at Kirkwood was a parade All-American going to Notre Dame. Football star, but I think at basketball he was like their leading scorer.
Oh, yeah, he was
and then he won
fantastic.
track and field state championships. Alvin Miller's on that list right there with Mike Shannon.
Yeah, he is.
And KG.
KG, because his time at Seckman catching.
Right.
Yeah, catching. Did a little pitching my senior year because
Did you?
the club needed an arm.
How hard could you throw?
Club needed an arm.
Velocity wasn't my thing. Just command.
My question was, how hard did you throw?
Seems like he's avoiding the question.
Low 80s. I wasn't a
That's not
fireball. I
bad.
mean, I had a good pop time from
That's not
behind the
bad
plate.
for high school.
But you know what? When I was 16, I put up some pretty gaudy numbers in the Summer Slava
gosh.
season, and I was a little chubby back then. I was a lot of chubby back then, and then I lost a bunch of weight going into my senior year. Numbers just plummeted.
You lost your strength.
Absolutely.
I've got you kind of like a Mike LaValliere type, right? Back then?
Spanky was my nickname as a 13-year-old. Yeah.
Well, how morbidly obese were you?
I mean, from like a BMI standard, probably fairly morbidly obese, but I've always had big quads.
How tall are you?
big calves.
About 5'8" or 9"?
5'9" would be a little generous.
What do you put on
Okay.
your Tinder? 6'1"?
I got the TikTok 3-inch lift, so I put 6 foot on.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doug, there was a texter to this station at 4:41 a.m. Happy holidays, go Blues. So
That's
I don't know
nice.
who was manning the ship at 4:41, but there was a texter. I hope you guys had a great, wonderful Christmas from the 636.
Well, thank you.
I recently purchased an electric fireplace cabinet. Totally missed the assembly required note in the listing. Holy smokes, this thing arrived in an enormous box. It took 3.5 hours to assemble. Literally sweating putting it together. That's from Eric in the Central West End. KG, you're from Jeffco. It's an embarrassment that you can't change oil. That's from the Crystal City Clam Hammer. So if you're from Jeffco, you're supposed to be good at changing oil.
Yeah, there's probably something to that. I've been out of there for a long time, though.
There's just too much at stake if you do something wrong.
Yeah.
If your engine doesn't get oil, you're going to blow out the entire engine, and it's going to cost you $4,000 to get a new one.
Yeah, and I wouldn't know the first thing about it. I would be bound to screw something up. So I'd rather pay Jiffy Lube.
Well, and Kenny Wallace said part of the interest in NASCAR is everybody knew something about an engine. He said now you don't go to your buddies on Friday night and work on his engine because it's too much computerized. He said you would screw it up. In the old days, they'd sit around at their buddy's house and just drink beer and work on an engine.
Let's change out the plugs.
We can ask JR, Jeremy Rutherford at 9:15. He's a Jeffco guy. We'll see if he changes his own oil. I'm guessing no.
I'm going to guess
bet
no
no.
as well.
I think just because you live in Jefferson County doesn't mean you're changing your oil.
Who's your dad? He said, I'll show you how to change your oil, KG. And I don't think that's innuendo. He said, super easy.
Are you getting turned on by this?
Well, I'm not, but you do have to have the tools. You got to undo the plug at the bottom, and you have to have an oil pan or let everything flow into something to catch it. I don't know.
And don't you have to
just
have-
don't. It's what, $20-$30 to have it done?
It's getting a little more. I'm 31 years old. I grew up at the farm every weekend. So I thought he was going to be, I grew up on a farm, but now he said every weekend. Now it sounds like Dad and Mom and Dad have a place, the farm to go to. But I know how to fix cars, build cabins. I can split wood. I can build deer stands. These kids today are just lazy.
Well, I don't know how hard splitting wood would be. That's just take an axe to it, right? They have little even tools for that where you just set the wood on top of it and it splits it for you.
Yeah. You want to split some wood after the show?
No, but in general, if you're a farmer, you do have to know how to fix everything, right? Because you can't possibly call somebody every time the tractor's not starting. Or
I'm always fascinated when I make some of the road trips for football that I make. And I'm driving through rural America, and just you're an hour away from anything, and I don't think I could live like that.
No, I couldn't either.
There's probably something to be said for being removed from the hustle and bustle and all the idiots out there, but
I think you would have to grow up in that environment to be able to deal with it.
you kind of see it on the weekend if you ever go to the Sam's Club. You can kind of tell the hill people that have made their way into the big city to stock
Hill
up.
people. What about Dave Chappelle living in the middle of Ohio? I mean, the guy's got millions and millions, could live anywhere, and just loves it. Hunkered down. Yeah.
Lives out in the country?
Yeah, it's kind of small town Ohio is where Chappelle, he's from there, I believe, and then continues to live there.
Does he have an airplane runway in his backyard or something?
Probably. Doug and Martin, I would love to hear how and why you fellas got into journalism and some of your fun, random stories from working in the business. Hey, KG, you're cute.
Oh, thanks.
That's from Brian Hench.
We could save those stories for that segment where we were just going to have
Fun
a little
and
fun and
games.
see where it goes.
Because this segment was just Yuletide banter.
That's all
what
this
was.
Yep.
Bernie Federko is going to join us at 8:15. Jeremy Rutherford, 9:15. Blues back at it tomorrow night. They're at home. Doug, we went through a stretch where they played 11 of 15 on the road. They're back home tomorrow night. The Nashville Predators, one of the biggest disappointments in the NHL. They're on my list of most disappointing NHL
Have
teams.
to be, because they tried to beef up during the offseason, got some free agents, and they're just terrible.
It's not working. Blues coming off that 4-zip win over the Red Wings on Monday night. Hopefully a little momentum after the Christmas break. Blues hockey right here on a 101 on Friday night, and then the Winter Classic next Tuesday in Chicago at Wrigley Field. We've got some Blues talk. We've got Yuletide banter. Doug and I are taking questions. We'll talk about career highs and lows. I have a texter correcting me saying it's Alvin Morrow, not Miller. No, that's not who I'm talking
Two
about.
different ones. There's two different guys.
Yeah, but Alvin
there was
Miller.
a Morrow and a Miller.
I don't know Alvin Morrow.
He was a guy who looked like Bo Jackson, played for Kirkwood High, and was hitting baseballs 450 feet and ran like the wind. Was a high draft pick. Went to one or two of their games, and there's 15 Major League scouts watching him play. I want to say mid-'90s, maybe.
Okay, so after Alvin Miller.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I never heard his name in the major leagues. I don't think he made it.
I think Alvin Miller got badly injured at Notre Dame.
I believe so. Yeah.
But still a legend in the Kirkwood area. And every time I see him, Martin, don't forget, I'm a legend from there. I'm kidding. That's in case friends of Alvin Miller are listening. We do have Tim's presence, Doug. I think people need just to hear. It's good to hear Timmy's voice. And here he is.
James Carlton presents the Colonel, Gabriel P. DeArmond, every Monday and Friday here on the program, online at carltoninsurance.net, or you can call him at 314-961-4800. I am a client of James Carlton, and so I can speak firsthand to my experience with James Carlton. And yesterday, got a little notification, a little text, hey, you have a payment due in a week. They sent this about a month ago, and I just blew it off, obviously. And it's that kind of proactive service that allows you to have an easy rapport with your insurance agent. But guess what? I also get texts when they go, hey, we found a way for you to save X number of dollars off of your policy. They're always looking to save money for their clients. That's why James Carlton has 400 5-star reviews when you type his name in Google. It's James Carlton, carltoninsurance.net. Just give him a call. You have nothing to lose, and my guess is you're going to have something to gain saving money. 314-961-4800. 314-961-4800, or go online at carltoninsurance.net.
I have a few questions for Doug. That's from Martin's Dangly Bits. I'm pretty sure he got on the air one time, sounded like a nice enough fella, and then just... You got hit late in the call. Yeah. No, you got a little weird, as they tend to do. KG's at the controls, the chairman, playing the drops all day. Jackson and Tim out today and tomorrow. I think the rest of the shows up and down the radio row here are in a best of mode, but maybe we don't have a best of. Is that what happened? We were punished for not having a best of?
I don't think we've been around long enough to have best of.
No, but it's nice to have the run of the place today.
Let's just go down to the point, start
pushing
buttons. Yeah, let's just hop on. Let's just do a little guerrilla takeover on K-Sheet.
I like that.
Yeah, you were listening there to the best of Crosby, Stills, and Nash, but Doug's going to tell you a few stories about Kirkwood instead. That would be good. You know how to run the board now. We can hop on these various shows.
Yeah.
All the boards are probably the same.
Yeah, probably.
Probably, yeah.
That'd be a good way to get
I
fired.
think we should do that, yeah.
All right, it is the Morning After presented by Brown and Crouppen. We're in the Design Air, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, the Munganess. What hour is this, Doug? This
It's
is the 7 o'clock
hour for sure. That much I know.
And those are your friends at Munganess. We'll come back. We've got more Yuletide banter and some sports to get to. It is the Morning After on 101. Seven o'clock hour brought to you by Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota. Martin, Doug, KG with you on the Morning After, on the day after Christmas. Presented by Brown and Crouppen. We've got the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day that comes your way in the 10 o'clock hour, which will be the board meeting with the chairman running the show. Texters active on this. Isn't that great, Doug? They get up the day after Christmas just to be a part of the fun and games here. A lot of comments about changing oil. That's now become a theme here.
All these people can do it, no doubt. And we're idiots because we can't? Is that the theme?
Yeah, I do think just commenting whether they can or cannot. It's a bit of a roll call Thursday, whether you can change your oil or not. I feel like today's the day that Doug puts an end to the smut. Stand against the evil one's legion, Doug.
Oh.
I guess that means if somebody calls in, you'll just put an end to that.
Sure, I'll suspend them if I have to.
I live in Jeffco. I change my oil every 3 months. Okay. My Christmas wish didn't come true. It's knocking the show. They didn't want us coming back. They were hoping we would disappear. Grew up in Jeffco, have been gone many years, could change my oil then, wouldn't even consider it now.
No.
Doug, I could change your oil. Just bend over right quick. That's from Fuelsy.
All right, knock it off.
Doug.
I can put oil in. You know, if I
top it off?
Yeah, if I pull out the dipstick and it's low, I can pour oil in.
Take me to Pleasuretown, Vaughn.
Okay, Hoffman.
Was it Brian Hoffman?
That was Hoff.
Take me to Pleasuretown. Guys, I have triplets, and part of dad time was showing my girls or my sons how to read a tape, use a hammer, and build something. Now, as far as my car, I showed them where to drive it to pay somebody to change the oil. You don't want to muck it up.
My son, Greg Vaughn, lives in Tampa, and he's got a Volkswagen. I forget the type. It's not a Tiguan, but he's got something. And when he took it in, the dealer wanted like several $100s to change his oil. They said, well, it's different. A German car. It's going to cost you
several hundred.
Yes.
Well, that's synthetic oil. You wouldn't understand.
Well, a lot of cars get synthetic oil now. You can still get a change for, what, 80 or 90 bucks?
I'm from Jeffco. I could change my own oil, but why would I when the fellas at St. Louis Acura do such a good job for a reasonable cost?
There you go. That's where you should go.
Another vote here on the athlete list. Tony Van Zandt, Hazelwood Central Best Athlete Award. And he may have been the greatest football player to come out of St. I don't know if he was a star in basketball or track. I don't know.
Yeah.
But certainly in terms of...
You know who else was great was Pete Woods. You remember Pete Woods?
Quarterback.
Yeah, I played against him when he was at U City. He became the Mizzou quarterback, and they beat Ohio State and Notre Dame or somebody else when Mizzou was really good. And he was a great pitcher and played in the NFL briefly, I think, as a quarterback.
I've never heard that name before.
Oh, yeah, he was dynamite.
Local attorney now, I believe.
Yeah.
I think we've had him on the show before some of the Mizzou big games. I believe Alvin Miller was injured in an All-Star game the summer before he went to Notre Dame. That's the Tony Van Zandt story.
Yes.
Part of the Mizzou curse. Mm-hmm. When you think you're getting something great and it doesn't always work out, like Mizzou, as Mike Kelly, the Mizzou thing, where people get all excited and then it doesn't work out.
I think Van Zandt, I believe he played in a summer All-Star game.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Right before his freshman year at Mizzou, and suffered some sort of horrible, it was a knee or a compound fracture of the leg or something, to where he just wasn't anywhere close to where he was. But I think he was the National Parade magazine high school player of the year.
Who is this?
Tony Van Zandt. This is like early to mid-'80s.
Yeah.
He was like one of the star players in the whole country, picks Mizzou, and gets injured before he can get there. And that was with the Woody Wiedenhofer era, I believe.
Yeah. He looked like Barry Sanders running around a high school field.
Remove drain plug, remove oil filter. Replace oil filter, replace drain plug, fill with oil. There you go. Easy mode. That's from Ironhead, who just simplified matters.
We will never get that plug off. We will never get it off.
Flood my face.
Stop it, Hoffman. We'll never have the tool to get that plug off, and we will damage it, and the next guy will say, well, if you hadn't done this, I could have done it real easy. Now it's going to cost you $2,000. That's why you go to Munganast.
Doug should indefinitely suspend all vile texters. Indefinite suspension. Have you ever done an indefinite suspension?
Yes.
Okay.
Deke Dotem.
Is an
suspended
indefinite.
Indefinitely. Absolutely.
Didn't Danny Mac on a Cardinal broadcast try and free Deke Dotem?
He did.
He also
unsuccessfully.
He often gives shout-outs to Mr. and Mrs. Dotem, the parents.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who raised such a fine young man.
Dennis and Denise, maybe? I might be butchering that, but...
Bill Bradley has to be on the list.
Oh, yeah.
Great basketball player, I'm assuming. Crystal City probably played other sports as well. Especially the smaller schools, right? You play on every team.
Yeah, he probably played whatever he wanted to play.
Any major star, even if they're just a big league performer, like you go up and down a Cardinal roster, the guys, like, okay, you're a great third baseman. Go back and look. Probably the high school quarterback. Probably the point guard in basketball.
Right.
Talk to Jim Edmonds about his baseball career. Well, in high school, I played football and
All
good
state,
at track,
California,
good at everything.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, those guys the guys that make it are just on a different level. Sometimes you read about the great professional athletes. I remember Jim Palmer, the old Baltimore Orioles pitcher. He said he was all state in high school basketball, football, and baseball.
Did he do some underwear ads?
He did. Yeah.
How'd he look?
Hall of Fame pitcher.
He was the jockey, poster boy for jockey underwear.
And an analyst for many years on network TV.
And I think still does Orioles games and still kind of looks the same.
Still looks like he's about 50.
Yeah.
And he's probably 75.
At least. That's the kind of thing we'd have KG look up, but he's busy. KG running the board with a drop fest. A lot of Brian Hoffman appearing on the show today. Bernie Federico Jr. a little bit later. Some blues talk for you. Let's see here. A lot of references to Doug and changing oil. They want to help you change some oil, Doug?
No.
Flip Wilson says Conzo Martin and LaFonso Ellis were on the same East St. Louis teams. Would that have been Lincoln? Remember East St. Louis and Lincoln?
So. Yeah.
My grandpa always told me that Ricky Bless was an unreal pitcher. Ricky Bless.
Boomer Kingsley.
I wonder if that's a typo. Rusty Lish. Now people are just voting for great athletes. Right. Rusty Lish from the East Side, great high school athlete. And then produced the great kid athletes, too. Kevin Lish, I think, just finished his career playing in Australia.
Yeah.
Teresa Lish went up, played at Illinois, maybe.
She was a great player.
Rusty was at Notre Dame, right? And then on the Big Red?
Yes.
Okay. People who change their own oil are trying to save up for their trip to Destin. That's from the Hunchback of Vaughn. I think they're taking a shot there. A lot of people just want to plug Doug. That's what it says. Okay.
Well, there's no need for that.
Doug, it's a simple socket. This is Ironhead following up on his how-to manual for changing the oil.
We're going to get the plug off, yeah.
Whatever, dude.
We also have to crawl underneath the car You're going to have some sort of lift, right?
I feel like when I was younger, my dad in the garage had some like ramps.
Little ramps,
Would
yeah.
you drive up the ramps to change the oil? Is that what those have been for?
Yeah.
I never trusted that operation.
No, I'm not going to lie underneath the car.
And my dad's probably listening right now. Dad, I love you, but knowing my dad now,
Yeah.
I'd be shocked knowing that he successfully changed oil back in the day.
Why?
I don't know.
Because as you know him now.
I am my father's son. I know I would have no clue, and I can't imagine my dad at my age, if we're anything alike, that he was able to change oil. But maybe I'm not giving him enough credit. Shout out, Dad.
I'm sure he could. Like I said, it was a whole different generation. People fixed things back then. They didn't throw money around on a credit card like we do today. People actually did things.
But what about
They
their
actually had to
garage, Doug?
fix
They
things.
probably shouldn't try and fix their garage door. I mean,
Well-
that's something that you need an expert like Schaefer.
I would think so, because Schaefer Door could certainly get your garage door going if you have any kind of problems with it. They're right there if you call or text at 636-782-3608, or just remember the name. That'd be easier. Schaefer Door. Now I'm going to go ahead and spell it for you. Schaefer. Only one F in Schaefer. Schaefer Door. They service all kinds of garage doors for service and new installs with LiftMaster. LiftMaster garage door openers are strong, quiet, and they are versatile. One thing Schaefer Door does that's a little bit special, they have a special standby service on Monday morning for those doors that break over the weekend. For whatever reason, that seems to be when most of them go over the weekend. You give them a call, and Schaefer Door will be right out there to get you taken care of, as they did for me when I had problems with my garage door. If you're on a business or a warehouse with those big, giant garage doors, Schaefer is experienced in those types of jobs as well. The service techs are not commission-based. They're not going to try to sell you a new door or some repair you don't need. That's just not how they work. They never have. Again, the number is 636-782-3608. Schaefer Door is a CHI overhead door dealer.
Saucy Jack, Crystal City Clamhammer, Flip Wilson, Kevin at the Lake. I'm just saying folks who have their own moniker. Eric in the Central West End, Ironhead, Peg Diaz, Fuels. They're all up and at 'em. Springfield Mud Tossers in there, Brian Henshin, the Hoosier Daddy. They are up, and we were wondering who's going to be up and partaking in the day after, morning after, the day after Christmas. Here it is. Full show for you, including the chairman's board meeting in the 10 o'clock hour. That's where the smut and stuff will be front and center. If John Kiowski wants to phone in. We also have at 9:30, let's just have a little fun in this segment and see what happens. We haven't even told our Christmas tales. We can do that when we come back. Also an update, a Sports Center update. Will it be NBA fueled? LeBron James said on Christmas Day, Doug, this is our day. Not the NFL.
He was upset that they had NFL games.
He said, I love the NFL, but this is our day. More drops.
Seems a little selfish.
From KG as well. Texters are welcome throughout on the Air Comfort Service text line at 399-9646. It's TMA powered by Brown & Crouppen.
This is Chairman Kurt with a SportsCenter update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The St. Louis Chiefs defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers in the NFL's Netflix debut yesterday, 29-19 to lock up the number 1 seed in the AFC. Patrick Mahomes threw for 3 touchdowns, including one to Taylor Swift's boyfriend, who set the franchise record for receiving TDs with 77. That was another SportsCenter update driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Got NFL football tonight, Doug. Doesn't matter what day of the week it is. There's always a NFL game. Bears, Seahawks tonight at Soldier Field.
That'll be exciting.
Yeah, but if you live in Chicago, you'd go, wouldn't you? Just because it's football, it's the Bears.
Not if it's cold, I wouldn't.
Just to see the Bears.
I don't like sitting out in the cold.
They've lost, 9 in a row?
Yeah.
And now it's interesting. Seattle's in town. They're talking about Pete Carroll. Would like to get back into coaching.
And he's no spring chicken.
73.
Yeah.
Was always really youthful, working that gum on the sideline.
Yeah. Players seem to love him.
Players seem to love him. And I know 73 seems to eliminate him from contention, but they're probably going to make a bad choice, hire a coach that they're going to fire in 2 years anyway.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't consider the age really a factor, knowing that most of the coaches that the Bears hire get about 2 or 3 years.
Right.
It's not going to be there long term.
73 is the new 40.
73 is the new 40. Dick Vermeil was 61 or 62. The Rams hired him, and everybody was in shock.
He seemed really old even then, right? And that was just 20 years ago, and now it doesn't seem so old, does
Right.
it?
Comparatively, it's like, really, he wasn't that old, but then he brought in, like, Hannafin and Jerry Roman, Dick Corey, and, like,
Sunshine Boys.
Everybody on the staff. I think what it is, and Vermeil is extremely youthful even now in his late 80s. I just think he had the grandfatherly presence even. You know, but he was 10 years plus younger than a Bill Belichick, a Pete Carroll, and I don't discount the fact that Pete Carroll wants to coach again. Do you think he'll get a shot?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he got a shot. I think some of it is us getting older. When we were in our 40s and there was a head coach that was 60, we thought, boy, that's an old coach. And now that we're in our 60s, we think, well, I'm not dead yet. I think I can still do that. They don't seem so old when they're around our age.
I don't trust that the Bears are going to get it right, okay, in terms of a coaching decision. Based on recent history, you know who's laughing? Lovie Smith has to be laughing because he got fired after they went 10-6. They'd been to the Super Bowl. Now, those teams, they had dropped off. They were not playoff regulars. But 10-6, he gets fired, and since then they've just been floundering around. I guess Matt Nagy got him to 1 playoff, but we'll take your NFL thoughts, Doug. The Chiefs are the AFC team to beat yet again. They're 15-1. They went on Netflix on Thursday, Christmas Day, even though LeBron says the day belongs to the NBA. The Chiefs did win. Lamar Jackson became the all-time leading rusher at the quarterback position. Doug, he passed Michael Vick. Of the top 10 rushing quarterbacks, how many do you think you could name?
Oh, gosh.
KG, feel free to participate as well.
Not many.
Oh, I think you could.
Rushing quarterbacks?
So Lamar Jackson is now number 1.
Is Mahomes on the list?
He is not. Because, Mahomes scrambles, but I don't see him running a lot, right?
Yeah.
He buys a lot of time.
Did Steve Young run around
That's
much?
a great guess, and he is number 6 on the list. Steve Young.
Old school guys like Bobby Douglas and Greg Landry ran a lot, but I don't suppose they run as much as the current guys.
Now, think about old school, guy who
Fran
ran.
Tarkenton?
Yes, Fran Tarkenton is number 8 on the list. Most of these are modern. I'll give you that.
Has Josh Allen cracked it?
Josh Allen, I was surprised to learn he's number 7, and he's got a chance to pass up some of the guys in front of him.
These guys haven't even been in the league very long.
And I feel like he set the Buffalo franchise record for rushing touchdowns already.
By a quarterback, I'm sure. Or you mean just in general? Thurman Thomas is probably
I have to be getting
but
that wrong, but he had some sort of crazy stat.
I think we're going to need initials now.
The guy who held the mantle until he was passed by Michael Vick. Eagles, great scrambling.
Cunningham.
Randall Cunningham.
Did RG3 play long enough and stay healthy enough to make it?
He is not on the list. How about the Auburn quarterback who was the number 1 overall pick not that long ago?
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton is on the list. Guy playing for the Steelers yesterday, throwing picks.
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson.
Okay.
So I've walked you up the door. Okay. Steve McNair and Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't have thought him.
I think just length of career, probably.
Yeah.
You pick up a run here, a run. You've been doing it for 20 years. That did surprise. I just was shocked that Josh Allen is already 7th. Yeah. He's going to move into the top 5.
Well, Lamar Jackson's only 27 years old,
yes.
so he might get another 5 or 6 years at this.
Right. He's going to make it unapproachable. And then we'll do our list of most unattainable records in sports. So Lamar, all-time rushing leader, Michael Vick, Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, Randall Cunningham, Steve Young 6th. I do picture Steve Young running all, just your visual when you say Steve Young, he's just running all over the place. And he did how many years in the USFL? A couple.
Yeah.
That probably cut into his total, plus he was behind Montana for a little bit.
Yeah, he even sat on the bench a year or two.
The Chiefs just completed that stretch. They played 3 games in 11 days. They won Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday. They won all 3. They're the top seed. They're 15-1. I can't wait to see whether it's Lamar going in there or Josh Allen going in there, just these premier matchups all going through Arrowhead. Andy Reid's record with the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to say, Doug, I'm going to tell you that he has coached regular season 194 games as the Chiefs head coach, regular season, 194.
Okay.
How many of those do you think he won?
193? No.
Out of the 194.
He's probably won 120 of them?
143.
Oh, wow.
143 and 51. Andy Reid's record as the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs.
And he's dressing up like Santa Claus after the game.
Was he yesterday? Did he do his post-game as Santa?
Kelsey and Mahomes went into the locker room, and they had those red patent leather Christmas jackets on that they did on Netflix. And then Andy Reid kind of came in and stole the show, dressed up like Santa Claus.
I guess you do whatever you want when you're 143 and 51. And won a couple Super Bowls and might win another one.
Not a huge Chiefs guy. I respect Andy Reid and
you
the
just
success.
called him the St. Louis Chiefs on the last update.
Oh, I did do that.
Was that tongue-in-cheek, Jeremy?
Could have been. But I hate when people get overexposed, like in commercials and whatnot. Peyton Manning kind of went through that a little bit. You're seeing Jason Kelsey kind of do that.
Shaq is on a lot of commercials.
But I'm tired of the bundle Rooski. I got to tell you that.
Are you really?
Have you seen that commercial?
Yeah,
Doug?
Andy Reid, right?
Yeah.
Well, it is hard to watch a Chiefs game when every commercial is Kelsey or Mahomes or Andy Reid. I think it's great that it's the middle of America. I think the whole Chiefs topic, we've discussed it ad nauseum, but it's cool that a small town in the middle of America is sort of the darling of the league.
America's team now.
Yeah. I mean, unbelievable. And Mahomes is incredibly likable, right? I think. I mean, there's plenty. You could say, I don't like Kelsey. He's actually probably more exposed than Mahomes. I think commercial-wise, Kelsey is. So some people knock. I don't have a problem with Travis Kelsey. I'm just saying Mahomes, to me, has very few detractors, right? Like Aaron Rodgers can rub people the wrong way with his personality, whereas Mahomes just seems pretty down to earth.
I got a take for you.
Oh, God.
Hot one?
Not on the dossier.
Yeah,
a
get those
chairman's
mittens on.
take coming your way at 7:45. That time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers.
I am pretty much all for these guys celebrating. I was glad to see them get to start celebrating again.
Doug's putting the mitts on.
But I don't understand how Travis Kelsey can get a flag for dunking the football over the goalpost. Meanwhile, the Vikings defense is doing like a 2.5-minute choreographed dance. I love it all, but why? I don't understand the rationale.
I'm with you.
Why is the Kelsey thing a penalty?
Like a Broadway production by the Vikings.
Yeah.
And Kelsey's was an homage to Tony Gonzalez.
Yeah, I mean, they all do it. They make a tackle and they start parading around like no one's ever made a tackle before.
I can understand the weapon brandishing thing. That was getting a little out of hand. I don't think that's a great look. But other than that, but I just didn't understand yesterday when they threw the flag on Kelsey for
I don't
the
get
dunk.
it either. I have no idea why they would have done that.
And
No,
even
it's
though
the no fun league, though.
it was over the top, but Joe Horn, when he was on New Orleans, always had something. Remember, he hit a phone in the
Cell phone?
goalpost, just so he could use it as a prop, knowing that he was going to score.
Yeah, and T.O. had the Sharpie in his sock to sign the football. Who? I'm going
T.O.,
back.
Joe Horn, that was an era where they really... They took it a little bit over the top, but it was fun.
When Todd Kinchin was punching the...
That's the name. I was going to say when the 49ers were kind of having the way with the Rams early on, there was somebody that was boxing the goalpost.
Ken Norton was the box, right?
Yeah.
And mocking the St. Louis Rams. We showed them.
Yep.
But where the Chiefs are concerned, I feel like over the last few weeks, it's been trendy to say the Chiefs aren't going to go very far in the playoffs. Or they're barely winning some of these games. They still haven't scored 30 points in a game. They've been lucky. The refs help them out. An easy schedule. Nonetheless, they're 15-1 and playing better now maybe than they have all year. That performance yesterday was probably the best game they played.
Don't hate the playoff, hate their game.
Yeah, so they I think they might be the team to beat again still.
But there was just enough chatter that they'll say, well, people didn't think we could do it. Well, you're the Kansas City Chiefs. You've won 3 of the last 4. You're probably and they're not odds-wise, but you're still probably the favorite in most people's minds. Maybe not the gamblers, the money, but there's no way they should be playing that card. You know it's coming, though.
Oh, yeah.
Well, people doubted us. Nobody thought we could do it.
Has
one
there
gave us
never
a
been a
chance.
three-peat in the Super Bowl era? Did I hear that?
I don't think we've ever had a 3-peat.
I don't believe so.
Pittsburgh was probably 4 out of 6 or something.
Yeah, Green Bay won a couple. And Dallas won 2 or 3 there within a short.
We'll look
49ers.
it up. You know what we'll do, Kurt?
There's absolutely no way of knowing
that.
There's no way at all of knowing.
I still think it's crazy. There was a highlight yesterday. I think I had that Stephen A. Smith show on in the morning for the first time ever, but the Bills losing those 4 in a row back in the day.
That's hard to do.
That had to just
Get
be
to the Super Bowl
crushing.
4 straight years.
Yeah.
I think Marv Levy is still with us. I mean, not here in the
think
studio.
so,
He's
yeah.
not here in the
90
studio.
something. Yeah.
You know,
But
funny you bring that up because I have a surprise guest plan, and Marv Levy is on the phone lines.
Oh, really? I see New
That'd been
England.
fun though.
New England won 2 in a row and 3 out of 4 in the early 2000s. Denver won 2 in a row, 98-99. Dallas won 2 in a row in 93-94. San Francisco 2 in a row, 89-90.
all right, who's going into Kansas City and winning, Doug? Josh Allen in Buffalo, Lamar in Baltimore.
Either of those teams could, just kind of the way the breaks of the game.
Chargers, Jim Harbaugh, could they get on a little run?
I don't think so.
I'm rooting for the Bengals. I want to see Joe Burrow's having a crazy season, and it would be a shame for that to not be in the playoffs.
So right now, the Bengals are on the outside looking in, but they're breathing down the neck of Brian Henson's Indianapolis Colts, I believe. But they're 2 back. I don't know if
They won't get in.
the Broncos have 9 wins, and they're currently holding on to the 3rd wild card.
And they play Kansas City, who will be resting their players probably. I wouldn't think Mahomes is going to play maybe a minute or 2.
It's the perfect time for them to get a little break in the action. They had a bye in week 6, and they've had 10 straight weeks. There's your NFL segment. We'll tell you who's going to win the Super Bowl later in the show, but first, we need to hear
That's
from
good
Timmy.
information.
Is Timmy there at all, KG?
Yep.
Hello, Tim.
Yeah, he's coming.
Okay.
Everybody needs a financial advisor. Mark Hanna is a wonderful person, and I am telling you that if you give him a call at 314-889-0503 or go online at evergreenstl.com, you are going to be intrigued by how Mark Hanna can give you assistance in your life, especially with your financial planning. And so many times people think they can handle it on their own, but just having somebody to help you along the way changes the game so substantially. One of my biggest regrets is not having a financial advisor in my 20s, and now that I do have one, I sit there and I say, man, how could things be different if I would have done it back in my 20s? Mark Hanna, Evergreen Wealth Strategies, 314-889-0503, or go online at evergreenstl.com. Mark Hanna offers securities through Equitable Advisors, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC, and offers insurance and annuity products through Equitable Network, LLC.
7 o'clock hour brought to you by Mugganass, St. Louis Acura, Mugganass, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota, Martin, Doug, KG, the chairman, here till 11 o'clock. The morning after, I promised to get through those texts because Charlie Marlowe earned the name No Text Marlowe. The recovering alcoholic in Belleville, Webster, I believe, is now dubbed me Martin No Text.
Oh, for heaven's sake.
I will get to the text.
Okay.
We're just a little pressed for time. That's all, Doug.
We're always pressed for
We
time.
got Bernie Federko at 8:15, Jeremy Rutherford at 9:15, talking some Blues hockey right here on 101 ESPN. Live edition of the Morning After. Martin, Doug, KG with you till 11 o'clock. Brought to you by Brown and Crouppen. Texters busy already on this day after Christmas. 974-0101. 314-974-0101. That's brought to you by Collier and Thompson. Is that right? The text line is brought to you by Air Comfort Service. Doug, get it right.
Okay. Well.
Earlier they were saying what a great Sports Center update. Multiple people saying that's how you do it. I think they're mocking Jackson and his NBA updates.
Yeah, I think I was ahead of the curve a little bit. I think I could have done anything there, and as long as it wasn't Jackson, they were going to love me, but they'll hate me soon enough.
Yeah.
Well, you were ready for it, and you delivered in the crunch.
Jackson trained me a lot on the coming in and out of breaks. I didn't really get a chance to do an update, so I felt that one.
Oh, did you really?
Oh, yeah. And I realized like halfway through it that I wasn't really breathing, and I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this whole thing in one breath. I kind of had to catch myself.
Why just stop breathing? Do you have gills or anything?
Nerves got the best of me, but I battled through, got there. Got three more of them to do. So.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah. You're fine. It's all good. I would like to give a little public service announcement. If you're having people over, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, you know what you do, Doug? You open one of the doors or windows because everybody's house gets too damn hot because you get you got to lower that thermostat during the day. And I'm being serious. If people are coming over, you got to cool off the house because once everybody starts getting there,
open the doors.
Cousin John was opening the doors on Christmas Eve. My sister-in-law yesterday, we were opening the doors. Got to keep things cool. I think people forget because they get it nice and toasty before Grandma comes over.
Right.
But then you're boiling over after about an hour after everybody arrives. So that's a little tip for everybody. If you're hosting, when we're going to Doug's for New Year's Eve, remember, Doug, keep those doors cracked during the day.
You got to get some of that stale air out of there. We got a lot of flu going around the Vaughn house, too. People sick. And I hear a lot of people seem to be fighting something for 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I would say we ran into several family members. Oh, I've been kind of sick all week. It's going around.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And maybe opening the door doesn't help. That cold air flying in.
You wouldn't think it could hurt. It's not the cold air that gets you. It's the bacteria and things.
And then we played the board game called Most Likely To. Have you played this? It's a card game, but it has questions on there. And it'll say, most likely to dress like a homeless person. And everyone at the table, my in-laws, they voted for me. And I said,
no.
What? And I said, okay, the kids brought this up because on the weekend, if there's a basketball game at 8 a.m. and I got to get kids up, I'll just throw on a knit cap. I've done it in here a few times.
You don't wear a tie or anything?
No. Sweatpants, just run out to a kids game. Who cares? Voted most likely. And it can be a little divisive that it said most likely to be late. And everybody voted for my wife, and she was kind of offended. She goes, well,
that one hurts.
She said, I'm not late. And I said, yeah. And then you have to be really honest, but you don't want to start any trouble. Am I always late? No, I didn't vote for you.
No.
I voted for our son, Carson, clearly.
Yeah.
Most likely to. But if
Who had the first kid?
I don't know who had the first kid.
And then defending myself, saying, I'm not the most likely to look homeless. But yesterday I was desperate for gas, and there were very few gas stations open.
Oh, really?
On Christmas Day, yeah. I went to 3 in a row that were closed.
Really?
And I was kind of trouble. I was out of sorts because I thought I was going to run out of gas on Christmas Day. And I get out at the gas station. I'm not really thinking. I threw some trash away, and I'm getting the gas. And then I couldn't find my phone. So I convinced myself that I had thrown it away with the trash. So now, local sports guy seen digging in the trash on Christmas Day. I was digging through the trash, and I saw one lady just staring at me.
This is outside in front of your house?
No, this is at the gas station.
Oh.
I was just cleaning out the car, but I had been rattled because I couldn't find an open gas station, and we're on fumes. But in my haste, throwing trash away, I lost my phone, and I was convinced I'd thrown it in the trash. So if you were driving along Manchester and Baldwin yesterday and you saw me digging in the trash, I wasn't looking for a last-minute gift idea. And then the phone, it turns out, was underneath my seat.
No. Now, they got the, obviously they got passcodes and whatnot, but like in your guys' line of work, I'm sure you have some numbers in there that the general public would have a field day with if they were to get their hands on. Is losing your phone with all that stuff in there worrisome?
Yes, because it does have every single number that I've accumulated over the years. I don't have, like Iggy always had a legal pad that's scribbled out.
A black book.
But I believe it's on the cloud, but then did I ever put it on the cloud? I don't understand that there's a cloud somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you go into the phone store, they'll say, well, is it on the cloud? I don't know. I'm at the phone store. Put it on the cloud.
But if they just found your phone, sooner or later, you'd have to have a password to get into it.
Yeah, in
What if
theory,
they could crack the code?
But yeah,
How are they going to do that?
I don't know how that all works, but you could see somebody
Just
being
so
able
they
to
could call a member of the Cardinals or something? They're going to go through all that?
Well, if you just crack your way into a phone and then you see, oh, you've got Jen Jameson's number like Doug has in his phone.
What?
He pointed at Doug.
I've never worried about that.
Could you imagine if somebody just started randomly calling John Mozeliak's cell phone or Gary Pinkel's cell phone?
Yeah.
I don't know if you were in it or if it was when you were doing your onboarding, but they were talking with Tim last week about contact roulette, a little drinking game they would play back in the day. And it was basically when it was your turn, if you lost or something, you had to just randomly scroll through your contacts, and whoever it landed on, you had to call in that moment.
No, that's not a good game.
If you're full of stars in that phone, it's not a good game. Can you imagine having to call Bob Nightingale at 1:30 in the morning on a Saturday night?
He would answer.
He would? Yeah,
he's
might.
good about
Yeah.
answering. Mm-hmm. I just moved away from Madison, maybe a couple of years. And we did the Sunday shows with Marshall Faulk, and he becomes the MVP. But now I'm back in Madison, Wisconsin for the weekend. My buddy's like, hey, who's in your phone? Anybody? It's just the early days of cell phones where you'd get a contact and you'd save it. And I said, I got Marshall Faulk's number. They're like, let's call him. And this is after a few drinks, Doug. Wasn't maybe the best decision I've ever made.
Probably not.
So we called him. And what I remember is passing the phone around to everybody there. And they're like, what's up, Marshall, man? You really won the MVP, dude. Super Bowl last year. And after a few people talk to him, I hear somebody say, okay, you want us to pass it back to Martin? Okay. I get the phone back. He goes, I know what you're doing. You're drunk, trying to be cool, showing off to your friends. Don't ever do this again. And that was the end of the phone call. I said, okay, yeah, great to talk to you. Thanks so much. Yeah, I'll tell the guys you had a blast. Okay, bye. Mm-hmm. Contact roulette. That feels like it would end poorly for everybody involved.
Yeah.
You ever called the wrong contact if you got multiple Johns or something? You ever called John Mozeliak trying to call somebody else?
Like your neighbor John instead?
Yeah.
Hey, can I borrow your rake? Oh, sorry.
Multiple John sounds like a hooker's phone.
That's the title of the segment.
Multiple Johns. Let's see. Martin frequently dons hobo couture in studio. They said I was dressed as a
hobo couture.
They said I was dressed as a striking dock worker one day. Not just a dock worker, but a striking.
Striking one. Who's mad?
I had the air on 67. So you could throw a little. It was 50 degrees outside. It was a tough day to kind of blast the heat with all the people coming over. Martin dressed like Cousin Eddie was dressed like Cousin Eddie at the gas station. Yeah, it's not too far off.
I watched that again this weekend. This week.
You can't go wrong.
Christmas Vacation. Watched it again.
I've never seen A Christmas Story. Is that odd?
Well, only because it's on all the time.
Yeah, I think I make if I see that it's on, I make an effort to not see it. At this point, I'm really digging my heels in on it.
It's one of those that's really not that great, but it's just kind of a tradition to watch it. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's clever and cute, but it's not Christmas Vacation, fall off your chair funny.
PSA, you can usually pay at the pump even if the gas station isn't open. That's from Arch Rivals. I tried that at my neighborhood gas station. It didn't work.
Have you ever run out of gas?
Oh, yeah. Back in the day. Probably my early Rhinelander days. Yeah. Just waiting for payday to put a little gas in the tank. Pretty sad. Mm-hmm. You always had the red can in the trunk just in case, Doug, back in the day. Yeah. Oh, it's been a long time. And I couldn't imagine at my age on Christmas Day calling and saying, can anybody help me out? I'm on the side of the road.
People used to run out of gas more than they do now, I feel.
Yeah, I used to see it more. Well, I think the gauge is more accurate now. Back then, you just kind of played the guessing game with that needle. Yeah. And now it'll tell you got 21 miles, you got 15 miles, 13 miles.
And it's easier to get your hand on money now. I mean, everyone's got a credit card, a debit card, an ATM card. There was a time where if you didn't get to the bank on Friday afternoon, you just weren't going to have any money.
Yes.
And if you didn't have any money, you weren't going to have any gas.
It sounds like there was a time at KFNS where if you didn't make it to the bank in time, you weren't going to have any money either.
There was a race to cash your check.
It was like the starting line of the NASCAR event.
You wanted to get there first.
You ever pick up a hitchhiker?
Oh, yeah.
You picked them up?
Sure. It was very common.
You ever hitchhike?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah.
I think in high school we did it a lot, looking for a ride.
It was always better to do it with someone, two of you. It was a desperation move, but it was a very common thing. No one thought a thing of it. It's not much different than getting in an Uber. Only it didn't cost anything.
Yeah.
Well, different for the person. It's not much different for the hitchhiker, but to the driver, there's a big difference. There's contact names. I mean, just the vulnerability. You have your back to this stranger. I guess you could tell them to get in the front seat.
There were even girls that hitchhiked. Can you imagine seeing that today? Like a teenage girl hitchhiking?
Would you ever pick up a hitchhiker nowadays?
No.
It would depend on the situation. If I was out in the middle of nowhere and I saw a car had broken down and it was somebody that, clearly needed a lot of help, I suppose I could.
I mean, you would hitchhike out of necessity
Same
only.
thing, yeah.
But I just wondered if you would pick somebody up. Can you imagine you're hitchhiking and a car pulls up slowly behind you? Doug Vaughn's leaning out of the driver's side window. Get in, fella.
I've told the story a couple times. The last time I hitchhiked, I was on my way to Rochester, Minnesota in the middle of summer, going back to my job up there, and it was about 100 degrees. I got in the middle of Iowa. I decided to go the back roads this time just because I was tired of going through Illinois and the highways. I'd go to more direct route, more scenic route. And right in the middle of nowhere, my car broke down completely. Just would go nowhere. Nothing around me but corn. So I got out and started walking. It's about 100 degrees. The buzzards start circling in my head, and I'm thinking, well, this is how it ends for me. I saw a sign after I walked about a mile, said Waterloo, 75 miles. So I started hitchhiking at that point, and a pickup truck with an older guy and his wife drove past me, stopped, put on the brakes, came in reverse, and said, was that your car we saw back there broken down? I said, yes, it was. I said, all right, get in. They took me to their farmhouse that was about 2 miles away, gave me lunch, then called a friend who owned a gas station in nearby Dysart, Iowa. This was on a Sunday. He leaves his house on Sunday, opens the gas station, comes out, tows my car back to the gas station, worked on it for about an hour and a half, got it going again, and said, okay, you're set to go. And I said, I don't have any money to pay you. He said, oh, that's okay. Here's our address. When you get back to Rochester, you just send us $120, whatever it was.
And did you?
I did. Of course, yeah, sure I did. And then I was on my way. But can you imagine getting that service? Maybe you'd still get it in Dysart, Iowa. I'm not sure you'd get that anywhere else.
It sounds more like a Netflix special where they take you back to the barn and chop you up into little pieces.
I thought I was going to be gutted. They had lunch and everything, and I didn't have $5 to give them. They saved my life. They may have saved my life that day. Certainly saved me from a long, long walk.
If Doug would pick me up,
I was surrounded by 20 twinks.
If Doug picked me up, I'd be giving him that sloppy toppy. That's from Mr.
I don't know what that means.
Mr. Siders.
I don't even know.
Jesus, that sounds like social hour at the retirement home with these two. That's from Jackson's Lone Wispy Pete.
Well, that's what it was.
I've run out of gas one time. Pushing a full-size Blazer in the middle of the Rock Road is no fun. That's when you recruit help from people passing by, just to get it out of the intersection. Is this the 7-4 that we're in? I think we're in the 7-4.
7-4, yeah.
It's time to hear from Timmy again.
Yeah, we're going to hear from Timmy.
All right, we're going to hear from Timmy.
We'll go ahead and hear from him now.
He's going to tell us about 100 West Dental.
Hey, even if you don't have a dental plan, you can go work with Dr. Brandon Pryor at 100 West Dental. Watch this, 100 West Dental. .com, 100westdental.com, or you can call 636-585-0100. No dental insurance, that's not a problem. The membership plan at 100 West Dental aids in the cost of dental work for those who do not have dental insurance. No phone calls needed to get in. You can just check out the website with the calendar online for availability and book right then and there. 100westdental.com. Dr. Brandon Pryor, loyal listener. It's 100westdental.com. Use my name, and you get $1,000 off an Invisalign package. That's 100westdental.com.
Any updates on the Joy Vitale Christmas party? We didn't really dig deep into that. It's a little too hurtful for me and Jackson.
Did you pick it?
Did not make it to pick it. I heard it was a great party, but actually, because we talked so much about it, and Joey said last week This is like for the grade school where our kids go. And
It doesn't matter. We want invites to those as well.
But he said because we've talked so much about it, he's getting texts from like Blues alumni saying, "Oh, thanks a lot. I heard you're having a party." He said it's not a Christmas party; it's for the parents. So it's caused him great consternation and pain.
Well, that's what he gets for not inviting the whole squad.
Correct.
Right. I want to go to his kindergarten parties.
Sure,
I've been to them.
Have you?
Bartended them.
Oh,
well, that's right. As the teacher, he was invited by the parents to bartend. Good morning, fellas. Some years ago, I came home from work around 3 p.m., parked in front of our place located in that Loughborough-Jamison area. As I walked into the house, I noticed what appeared to be Martin Kilcoyne walking around on my roof. I entered the house and asked the wife if that indeed was Martin Kilcoyne on the roof. She told me he was the landlord's cousin, cleaning the leaves out of our gutters. Not every day that Martin Kilcoyne's on your roof. That's from SoCo Dave, and it's a true story because Cousin John and I used to own some property.
Oh, you did?
And the gutters, this was like a duplex, so there's only, about a 10-foot roof. I even had the ladder up, and I was cleaning out the gutters, and the mailman walked by, and he said, "I'll be damned. Kilcoyne cleans gutters." I thought that should be my next line of work. All right, text into the program. It is TMA, brought to you by Brown and Crouppen. We're going to close out the 7 o'clock hour, the Munganass St. Louis Acura, Munganass Burkhardt Alton Toyota, 7 o'clock hour. We have the Design, Air Heating, and Cooling email today at the end of the program. Bernie Federko coming your way, talking some Blues hockey when we return. It's the Morning After, powered by Brown and Crouppen. .814, time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, Martin, Doug, KG. Chairman's going to have a board meeting in the 10 o'clock hour. That's when the smut and stuff will be rolled out. That's
what sort of stuff?
According to the dossier, we've got fun with audio, Bernie Federico may have been listening to our segment randomly talking about hitchhiking and thought, I'll just sit this one out.
No thanks.
We haven't connected with Bernie Federico, the Hall of Famer, yet. We'll do so. It is the day after Christmas, for God's sakes.
He's probably sleeping.
He should be. God, it's a miserable day, too. Rainy. It's not cold, but just the windows on Olive here, it looks rather bleak outside.
Not a lot of activity out there either.
No.
As I say that, a couple cars drive by.
Yeah,
Well, I think most
quiet.
people probably aren't working today.
Roll call. Are you working? Text into the show. Where are you working? 314-399-9646. That's the Air Comfort Service text line. 399-9646. Our guy who was teaching us how to change oil sent a picture of him working, and it looked like he was at a construction site. So there are folks out there. God bless the folks out there getting things done.
Well, we're married to journalism.
Well, sure.
So we're not taking any days off we don't have to take off. We don't want days off.
Did you miss it on Monday and Tuesday, Doug? Did you have some takes sitting around the kitchen table with the kids?
I did. I had a lot of journalism I wanted to conduct, but was unable to.
My dad once hitchhiked from Virginia Beach to Cahokia. He said the guy that picked him up asked where he was going. My dad said, Southern Illinois. The guy said, great, I'm going to Cape Girardeau. The guy's only rule was that my dad drove, and he said the guy slept from Virginia Beach till Paducah. Oh. So he wasn't looking really for a hitchhiker. He was looking for somebody to do the driving.
Right, and trusted
I was so amped on chugging with my boys.
And it was okay, just turned his car over to a stranger. I just think people were nicer back then to each other.
Or more trusting, less jaded.
Mm-hmm.
But I think less terrible things had happened, right?
I don't know if that's
the case. Or just more publicized
now.
now?
You certainly hear about it now. I don't know if that stuff happened. I don't think it happened as often then as it does now.
Can you imagine? Get in the car. Hey, where you going, pal? Oh, good. I was going to drive to Cape Girardeau. Can you just take the wheel for a while? I just need a good snooze. You just drive my car. I just met you on the side of the road. I saw you walking into the Stuckies, and you seem like a trustworthy fella. Nathan here, Wash Mo on the way to work right now. I sell parts for nuclear medicine beds and scanning machines. Keep up the good work, boys. Okay, Nathan from Washmo has checked in.
That sounds like serious work.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude.
Nuclear beds?
That's what it said.
Are these people undergoing radiation treatments, maybe?
I don't have any more answers, Doug. I just read the text.
I'm sorry, I'm crowdsourcing.
Working, sold my soul to the devil, so I would work today and tomorrow, and then I'm off for 14 days. We went over this the other day. It's a good time to work because nobody's really working. And then you take that vacation when it's a real grind.
Right. Because we can kind of relax here because no one's looking over our shoulder. Right.
Kowski's not in the building. He was on Tuesday. Had us in tip-top shape on Tuesday.
Yeah, he was upset with Jackson about that Miami of Ohio slander.
That's right. Oh no. We stumbled into a real mess. And I forget how it came up. Something about the worst school in America.
Yeah.
And I don't know why it was referenced. But we said, well, what is the worst college in America? And Jackson said, I'll give you one. And then had a long pause and finally said, Miami of Ohio.
Oh.
And I said, that's actually a really good school.
Yeah, I thought it was.
And he goes, yeah, it just seems like it's the middle of nowhere. And then we realized Chris Kerber went to the Miami of Ohio. So we're like, that's going to be a problem. And then we found out Buck Swope went to Miami of Ohio. So it led to a whole thing.
Oh.
And it was a slam dunk. All he had to do was say Kansas.
Kansas, as a Mizzou guy.
And he went Miami of Ohio. Those damn Redhawks.
I'm currently working for a local municipal police department listening to you sexy lads. Thanks for getting me through the morning. We got the local police department calling us sexy lads.
We may need him if we decide to hitchhike home.
What profession would you be most surprised and least surprised to find out that we were popular in that demographic while they were working?
Most surprised, least surprised, occupation. So like police officers listening to this banter, but calling us sexy lads was even more
that's
surprising.
The surprising part.
Makes me feel pretty.
Clip that off. I'm retired. I'm listening, and I changed my car's oil until the age of 38. Now I let others do it. That's from KG's dad.
Oh, he found the text line?
It looks like it's his first ever text to the show.
Yeah, he texted that to my phone. I didn't get a chance to respond to him, so I guess
you didn't respond. He went straight to the show.
Yeah, hi, Dad.
Working from my Manhattan loft. And then it says, oopsie. It looks like they're in New York City. Is that right? Maybe.
Well, there's an awful lot of jobs where you don't ever get time off, regular time off. If you work in healthcare, I guess, if you work at a hospital,
Yeah.
first responder, those types of jobs.
When they're important jobs, Doug, I would say.
Life-saving
During COVID
jobs.
at the TV station, they said, all non-essential employees will be told to stay home. And I was on the list of non-essential.
I was too.
Non-essential.
How could what we do possibly be considered essential?
I know, but the label's still sort of stuck.
Yeah.
Non-essential.
Let me give you that Blues score last night. You can't get it anywhere else. They beat Vancouver 4-3.
And then Charlie Marlowe said, post-COVID, I'll just stay home every day if that's okay. I'm a trucker. I listen every morning from the 636. We need your name, and then we can change it in the text line to Trucker Bill or Trucker Sally or whatever it happens to be. Working today as a trash man out in Wildwood. God bless the trash man because it's a crappy day, and everybo's got mounds and mounds of
big
stuff.
day in that.
Where would we
field.
be without them?
They're essential. Doug, you're not.
No,
They are.
gosh.
I'm driving into work at the moment. You all are keeping me very aroused. That's from David Klein of Hedonism
I
texting
love
into
David
the show.
Klein.
Wait a minute. Is his last text? Oh, December 18th. I was going to say, it's been a minute.
Jim Hayes always had the fantasy of slathering David Klein of Hedonism with gravy.
Now, there's a fetish. I know you guys don't. I'm new here. I know you guys don't shame, but that's a thing. Working in Houston, I'm in home restoration, currently looking at a burned up house.
Somebody's house caught on fire. Now he's got to rebuild it.
And I'm just going to guess here, Doug, that if they're in Houston and listening, they're probably from St. Louis, but listening just to keep tabs.
Probably, yeah.
Trucker Dan, thank you. Okay, Trucker Dan, can we change his label on there?
We may need to make a note. I don't know how to do that. That didn't come in Professor Burkett's class.
That was not part of your training?
Yeah.
You still need more onboarding to do?
Yeah.
And we have the other texter who's mad. I forget the name. I'll go back and find it, but wants to be changed to Dirty Chewbacca. And we haven't changed his name yet in the listings.
It's high up there on the priority list, I'll tell you that much.
Slinging kegs in Brentwood. It's a ghost town. The Budweiser never stops flowing. That's from Fuelsy.
It's 8:22 in the morning. Are there a lot of kegs that needed to be tapped right now?
Well, I bet there's a big delivery day.
Yeah, because
places have been closed.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve was probably a big night out at the restaurants and the bars.
Probably so.
Do places open up the night of Christmas Eve? I remember back in like early college days, you'd come home from college on Christmas break, and it always you spent the day with the family, but by about 7, 8 p.m. you were ready to go out with the buddies.
Restaurants are open, most of them.
On Christmas night?
Oh, I don't know. Christmas night, Christmas Eve, a lot of them are.
Yeah, when I
That's
was
a
in the
big night.
barbecue business, Christmas Eve was always a big night.
My buddy Chris Erker always had a Christmas party at his parents'. This started in high school because by 8 o'clock Christmas night, you were done with like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it was packed. And I always thought, I can't believe his parents let this happen. Just high school kids overrunning the house the day that they had kids and presents and just a family get-together. Then that night, there's kids just spilling Lowenbrow down their steps. You know?
You kind of start to get stir-crazy Christmas afternoon and night. You've been at home behaving yourself for a couple days.
Yeah.
Swayze says, I'll make Doug essential. He'll make you essential.
Now, what does that mean?
I don't know.
What could that possibly
Did you say the hoes are laughing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the audience are a bunch of hoes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she makes $40 million a year, is it now?
Oh gosh, Bad Baby or whatever she's called.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's ridiculous. She just she had a really fancy exotic car in some bad crash. I don't think she was the one behind the wheel, but thoughts and prayers to Bad Baby.
Headed to KG's O-Town, which I just learned the other day. I always thought it was KG in Oaktown, and I thought it was an Oakville reference. And I just learned off air that it was Overland.
Oh, yeah.
Back in my teaching at Rittner days. Go
Rittner
Huskies.
Huskies.
Yeah. Jerry Royce.
And he was mentioned earlier on the show. We were talking about great St. Louis athletes.
Oh, yeah.
Look like Ed Begley Jr.
He was a great pitcher.
Mailman Rob is listening in Brainerd, Minnesota.
Oh, up in the Iron Belt.
Yeah. Trucker Toby here. Mrs. Randy. We love Randy, but thank you, Trucker Toby, texting the show. Love listening to you boys while I work for Anheuser-Busch Beer Distributor, pushing out the beer for your fellow listeners. Keep up the good work and happy holidays. Hey, nice thought there.
Okay.
From the 314. All right, let's break. I don't know if we've reached Bernie Federico yet. Poor guy is probably enjoying his day off. We do have JR. Is he in studio? That we don't know.
It's fluid.
Is this segment 8-1?
This is 8-1.
It'd be nice if Tim
I was going to say, I miss Tim.
Oh, yeah, I know you do.
Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota. That's Jamie Burkhardt. That's Peter Munganess. And then in the service department, that's Ryan Seiberg. If you are in the market for a new car or a pre-owned car, you can go online and go shopping right now at stlouisacura.com or altontoyota.com. Or you can call 314-252-0029. Or you can text 314-252-0029. It's Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota. They go out of their way to be accessible to the TMA audience. So if you are a listener at TMA, if you are a longtime listener, you know that you are going to get great service from Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota. Even if you get your car from there, get it serviced there with Ryan Seiberg. It's Munganess, St. Louis Acura, Munganess, Burkhardt, Alton, Toyota. Online at stlouisacura.com and altontoyota.com or call or text 314-252-0029.
You mentioned the professions that are tuning into the show. How about a lawyer? Uncle Wally's plastic ear apparently is an attorney, Doug. I would not have guessed that.
Yeah.
I'm an attorney. I'll be working today. No one else is going to be in the office. I'm not going out of my way to get there before 9. Stay cute, fellas.
Okay. I had an Uncle Wallace who had a plastic ear. That's where that name
how it
comes
started.
from. Yeah. Here's somebody said he killed his neighbor. That's what he's doing. Wow. That just
Do we need to
captured
report that?
It says killed neighbor.
Are we mandated reporters?
Well, we're not essential, but I think
No.
that might be our civic duty.
I didn't see nothing.
No. Nothing.
Did the person at McDonald's who snitched out on Luigi Mangione, I heard there was some debate on whether or not they were actually going to get the reward money.
Why?
You know anything about because
No.
they didn't call the tip line that was like advertised. They called some other police line.
Oh, Lord.
But so I feel like the government had a little loophole to not pay him the $60,000. But you would think that's a drop in the bucket.
Yeah. I hadn't heard that. I didn't see that story.
You want these? I mean, you want people to give you information like that, and if you tell them you're going to pay them and you don't.
All right, here's a story. This is from Fortune magazine. Pretty prominent, right? Just the headline for you. McDonald's employee who called in Luigi Mangione's tip will only get $50,000 reward if there's a conviction, rules say. What?
Oh.
Now I got to pay to read the story, so I'm done with it. I read you the
Well, that's
headline.
kind of BS. They did their job. Now it's on the prosecutor to do theirs.
How could you not get a conviction on that?
Yeah, I
they
think-
got video of the guy doing it and a note found on his person saying he was going to do it.
That could have been planted.
And he stopped at the
Not likely.
Starbucks, stared right into the camera.
Yeah.
Robert Blake committed murder or attempted. Did he kill somebody, Robert
I
Blake
think he did.
Beretta?
I
And
think
they
he
found a list he had, and it said, like, buy rope, go to the hardware store, get can of gasoline, get shovel to dig grave. He like, I like to write things down. Maybe that's an example where you just wrote down a little too much.
If you go to Home Depot and you buy the shovel and the rope and the trash bag and a little bit of acid and lime, you are going to jail.
The person checks you out and says, have a great day. Like, name, phone number, credit card number. Okay, what do you need that lime for?
And there's cameras everywhere. You look in some of the big stores, up at the ceiling where the cameras are, there's a camera every 15 feet.
Yeah, they got every square inch of those places covered.
Yeah, you couldn't get away with anything.
You'd want to buy those supplies like one at a time, spread them out. You can't do it all at once.
Federal and local rewards programs, like a tip line, operate with different rules. Both have wiggle room built in to offer multiple rewards of various amounts based on the result of those tips. This person, I mean, they deserve the money, right? Do we stand with the
I would think
McDonald's
so, yeah.
tipster? Mm-hmm. All right, what segment are we in now? Is this
This is 8-1.
We're in 8-1. Doug, we're behind already.
Well, hopefully you're not behind on your taxes. And if you would, Mark Milton would step in there to help you battle the godforsaken taxman. If you have years of unfiled tax returns or tax liens, bank levies, or wage garnishments keeping you up at night, or maybe you're even facing IRS criminal investigation, heaven forbid. If so, you should contact STL Tax Lawyer Mark Milton at stltaxlawyer.com. Mark Milton at stltaxlawyer.com provide a local and holistic approach to tax resolution. Don't be sucked into the out-of-town tax resolution groups you hear about on TV and radio. You're wondering about his credentials. Why should I trust this guy? Well, how about this? Got his accounting degree from Illinois, #1 accounting program in the country. Law degree, St. Louis U. Started his legal career with the Department of Justice Tax Division in Washington, where he represented the IRS in tax cases throughout the country and even received the DOJ's Outstanding Trial Attorney Award. How about those credentials? Mark now helps individuals and small businesses solve their tax problems, and he can help you. If you have IRS troubles, contact Mark Milton at stltaxlawyer.com today, and you'll be saying, hey, I'm not guilty. I'm with Milty. Remember, the choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
Doug Vaughn is here. Martin Kilcoyne, KG from O-Town. The chairman's running the board today. Jackson and Tim are out. A live edition of The Morning After. It's brought to you by Brown and Crouppen. Brown and Crouppen presents The Morning After. Great visit with Terry Crouppen in studio the other day. Santa Terry was here, delighting us with his stories that he shared from over his career. Bernie Federico, we're going to give him the day off. We just made it edit.
Really?
Well, we called once. I said, that's enough.
All right, yeah.
JR, however, it's mandated. He be here. We'll talk Blues. In the 9 o'clock hour, Blues have the Predators at home. Rare home game for the Blues. this stretch. They've been busy on the road. Got the nice 4-zip win Monday in Detroit. Is there a bounce now, Doug? A pre-Christmas bounce, perhaps, with that 4-zip win?
The schedule will help. It gets a lot softer than it's been.
It's been a rough ride, but now they are 7-4-3 with Jim Montgomery, and I offered this up on Tuesday, Doug. Do you look at that as they're 500? They've won 7 and lost 7. Or can I sell you on this? Of the 14 games, they only have 4 losses in regulation. Of the 14?
Well, that's good. But I always thought if you're going to count an overtime win as a win, you ought to count an overtime loss as a loss.
I know, but that's no fun. We're the home of the Blues.
Okay. Well, let's not
rethink
do it
that, fella.
Okay.
Blues currently 4 points out of a playoff spot. They've got a lot extra games played, though, however. Dallas Stars have 40 points. Blues have 36. But there's a long season to go, including the Winter Classic next Tuesday. New Year's Eve day, they'll be playing. They didn't want to go head-to-head, I think the league did, with the football playoff games on New Year's Day.
Yeah, don't do that.
Knock it out on New Year's Eve. We also broke down Pete Carroll's age, the Chiefs being the top seed. This is for the texters at Talk Sports. I'm recapping the fact that we covered a lot of sports. We also did a roll call on this December 26th. The 8:30 Recreator says, I'm at work at the hotel. I'm looking at a huge water leak on the softener. People are out there working. A lot of truckers listening. Trashman Steve in St. Peter's. Thanks for listening, Trashman Steve. Utility lineman working today along with every other day of the year. Trucker Nelly says, I'm out here trucking and listening to you bums.
Oh.
I kind of like that. Listening live this morning from Fort Myers, working as a superintendent for a GC.
General contractor?
Superintendent general, okay. Lady Construction is a cruel mistress. Had I read that part, I would have understood the
GC.
General contractor. Yes. There it is, Doug, talking sports. Giving Bernie Federico the day off. Covered a lot of ground. We gave you helpful tips for the holidays. Cousin Sam is one of my cousins. Loves college football.
Does he?
Loves Mizzou football. Studies it like crazy. Saw Cousin Sam on Christmas Eve. Thumbs down from him on Bo Perbula.
He doesn't like it?
He said, it's not a tremendous upgrade at all from Brady Cook. He said, you're going to be surprised. He said, he's great in the red zone as a running option. He said, you're going to be surprised. He said, I hope they have an open competition. It's the first detractor I've heard on this Bo Perbula signing from Cousin Sam's intense research. He does actually study college football closely.
I saw some of the video of Perbula, and he does look like a really good runner, but looks like he short arms the ball when he throws it.
Well, so now you're on board with Cousin Sam. So we're all doing cartwheels the other day. He says, not so fast, fella.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that he's not accurate or a good thrower, but it just looked like he really short armed the ball. I don't know how far he could throw it with that motion.
Missouri, good football teams. Those college teams are good, huh? What are you going to do this year? I think pretty good stuff, huh?
No, not a lot.
Now, at the time, I think it was Barry Odom had just taken over, or Pinkel was on his way out. It wasn't exactly a glorious 2015. No. And then the Rams were about to leave or had just left.
You would think that someone would brief him right before he went out. Said, you could talk about the Cardinals and everyone will love you. Leave everything else out. But it's probably hard to
how about
get
those
him
football
to play along.
Why don't he just say, how about your soccer teams, huh? And that could just cover a wide range. Out here delivering as well. That's from the War Gerbil, Doug. He's out there delivering.
Okay.
Bam, Gerbil.
Yeah, that's another job that probably never stops. Amazon guys and the FedEx guys delivering just nonstop.
Federal civil servant working for the people today. All right. We got a lot of folks out here from Sidearm Sam. I don't know if that's referencing Cousin Sam becoming Sidearm Sam. KG, you're a big football fan. Are you convinced Bo Perbula at $1.5 million is the starter? I think even Gabe DeArmond made the point the other day. Yeah, he gets the money. He doesn't get guaranteed anything. They'll go into camp. But I would think you're spending that kind of money. You hope to God that you got your next starting quarterback.
I'd be shocked if Perbula wasn't starting next year. I had someone, a source I can't name, Doug.
Name him.
No. You'd both know him.
Really? Initials, please.
We're not doing that. But he told me not so fast, my friend, that he's been told that Sam Horn's going to get one heck of a look.
Okay. Boy, I'd like to at least find out a little more about this Sam Horn before. Feels like he's now been there 10 years.
I just don't. I mean, At that point, he wouldn't have played like a meaningful snap of football.
But if they're paying somebody $1.5 million, they didn't pay him to come in and sit on the bench.
Did you see the quarterback?
He'll get every break.
I think a guy transferring maybe from Tulane to Duke. I can't even recall his name off the top of my head, but I think he signed a $4 million deal.
Gosh.
Wild. And then Colorado and Dion are heading out to their bowl game in some luxury private jet.
We thought the starting quarterback was big man on campus in a college before the NIL thing kicked in. Imagine what they are now when they got a $4 million contract in their back pocket.
We've talked about it, but it's just crazy to think that not that long ago, if you bought a kid a chicken sandwich at the university center and got caught, you were in some trouble.
You were a horrible person, too. That needed to be banned from all college athletics.
And there were voices screaming about it. Rick Majerus would take on the NCAA, and he said when Andre Miller, his point guard at Utah, his mom died, and Majerus took him to lunch, and they got sanctioned for it. It was written up.
Yeah.
And the NCAA was just so stupid, and now they've lost all control. It's totally been a market correction, but to the extreme degrees that you've got a quarterback that nobody at Mizzou's ever seen play. He gets $1.5 million just to be the potential starter. I do think that the Sam Horn, Zollers is young, so he's probably not coming in and starting right away. But the Sam Horn thing, why not?
I think the old days of the NCAA handing out suspensions all the time, it was probably like the IRS where they had lots of people on staff and they had to come up with something to justify their jobs. Yeah. So they would eventually find any little infraction they possibly could.
Sam Horn must really love football to continue to do all this stuff when he's got the baseball thing there and can. I guess he throws in the. I don't follow Sam Horn's baseball, but does he throw in the 90s?
I heard he did upper 90s.
So, yeah. And if you got a chance to do that, I don't see the point of,
Well, if you can be a starting quarterback in the NFL, you're going to make $50 million a year. That could be it.
Remember Kyler Murray? That was the big debate. Should he go pro football or baseball? And then the guaranteed money in the NFL, he got one of those $200 million deals, I believe.
We were talking at the family Christmas gathering yesterday about Brady Cook, and Martin, do you think Brady Cook gets an NFL look? I mean, maybe practice squad.
I think street free agent gets invited to a camp. Yeah, there's always guys in camp. I think. Then maybe you get into a preseason game or two and you hope that you play well and somebody picks up on you. I mean, I don't see him getting drafted unless I'm crazy.
No, I think he might have had a shot after last year if he'd left after last year.
Yeah.
But this year he threw so many balls that were wildly inaccurate. You can't do that as an NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
Accuracy is the number one thing for quarterbacks. It tops everything else. And if you're not accurate, you can't play at that level.
And obviously one of the positive things about him is his ability to run the ball. But, I mean, what he did in the SEC, that won't work. He's not a Lamar Jackson type where he's going to be that fast and that mobile. I'd love it, but I think that boy is destined to wear the blue and silver.
Don't say that boy.
Well, he's
the blue and silver.
The
of
true
the
son. You mean the true son that went to Mizzou? You think becomes the Battlehawks quarterback?
Yeah. That would be nice. That'd be a great marketing move for sure.
Bring Cody Schrader back. Hell, fire Anthony Beck and bring in Drink.
Stop it now. You're talking crazy.
Is Beck still the coach? He was talking about West Virginia.
Well,
I know he didn't get it.
I think he was in the mix there. I think he's going to be a head coach, college, or in the pro game, be an assistant at some point. He's carved out a decent resume now doing this. But Brady Cook is going to go through this whole process in the spring, and that's when the Battlehawks are playing. So I don't see him in your silver and blue this year, but maybe the following year.
Well, the Battlehawks, I guess, signed some legit quarterback from TCU.
Max Duggan, yeah. They signed, I think, 3 total. So the Brady Cook St. Louis idea, while we're probably kidding around a little bit, at some point might make sense. If you're talking about name recognition.
Oh, yeah, it'd make a lot of sense for the Battlehawks.
We were also debating yesterday at my family gathering. A lot of them are teachers.
Were you playing drops at the dinner?
I was doing mental drops in my head, just getting some reps in.
Right.
But we were debating, who do you think makes more money? Like my cousin, he's a teacher, and he's been doing it for a while. He's got a master's degree. Who makes more, a veteran teacher in a good-paying district or the average Battlehawks player?
Teacher.
That's what I said too, and that shocked him. But I don't think so.
It's probably 80 or 90,000 or so
for the teacher.
Yeah,
less than that. But you're in at ballpark. But I just can't see these second-string offensive linemen making a whole lot of money in that league.
I don't think they do. I think they're there with the dream of keeping football alive and maybe getting an NFL shot someday. Most of them.
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen a pay structure for UFL. Like, obviously, A.J. McKernan would have been their top-paid player, but I think it's slotted even. I don't think you can just throw around because the league is its own. They own every team,
right?
So there is no competing interest like the crazy owner in San Antonio is with the Brahmas going to outspend the Battlehawks.
Yeah.
They run the entire product. I'm pretty sure that those are slotted.
And if you don't like it, they'll just find another guy who played Division I and not quite good enough for the NFL, and he'll be happy to come take your spot. But with Brady Cook, I would think that his agent would get a pretty good read on whether he has any NFL teams willing to give him a shot before the Battlehawk season rolls around.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got an agent. If he's just getting no way, no, he won't be invited. Well, then maybe he would go to the UFL. Would make sense.
I'm from the loop and I'm proud.
Okay, he can scream that.
I'm from the loop and I'm proud.
What is that from?
That is, I think, the supporters section for STL City had some chants that people were wanting the crowd to learn. And from the Lou and I'm proud.
I think the reason they didn't get any of the other QBs, they wouldn't guarantee the starting job. That's possible because Mizzou was certainly in the market for other transfer portal quarterbacks. Pipe fitter working today on a chiller system that cools the magnet on an MRI machine, trying to hit a critical deadline of January 6th. So the pipe fitters checking in as well on the text line.
The magnets have to be cooled?
Whatever, dude.
Oh, yeah, that's what I tell him. Cool your own magnets.
Title of the segment?
Cool your own. I would love for Tim and Jackson to come back next week. What'd you guys talk about? Hitchhiking, cooling magnets. Oh, there was a great story. Oh, boy. It was about hitchhiking. I'm sorry. I got the text runneth over even on the day after Christmas.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
If we were to hitchhike today, none of our cars worked and we had to get home.
Yeah.
How would you go about doing that? Would you just stand out here on Olive Boulevard? And
well, the step one is tarps off.
What do you mean tarps off?
Take your top off.
Today?
Yeah.
That's step one.
I wonder if it's even legal. If the police would come by and say,
take your top off?
No, to hitchhike. If they'd say, move along now. I don't know if it's legal.
Cops call in.
Cops call in on the Callier and Thompson phone line. Have you ever said that before in sports radio? Cops call in. 974-0101, 314-974-0101. If any of the officers of the law would like to phone in, you can text 399-9646, Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646. What I enjoy on a roll call Thursday, people texting in where they are, where they're working, what their occupation is, but also if you have a suggested moniker. For those who don't have their own, like Mr. Big Cream or Buzz or Minute Bowl eligible, you can just put at the end of your text what you would like to be referred to as. I think we're behind on the clock.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's take a break and get that clock right.
I'm just reading that Missouri is unique in that they haven't adopted the Uniform Vehicle Code prohibiting pedestrians from soliciting rides while on the roadway.
Oh.
So it is largely legal to hitchhike in Missouri.
So we couldn't legalize sports gambling for all this, but we're all in on hitchhiking.
Right, that's fine. You know.
Time to take a break.
Okay. Gosh, it is the Brown and Crouppen, a morning after. Don't forget the Design Air Heating and Cooling email today. That's in the 10 o'clock hour, which the chairman will be running. He'll have a board meeting in the 10 o'clock hour. We've got JR talking Blues hockey. They've got the Predators coming to town on Friday night. More of the fun and games on the morning after next.
This is Chairman Kurt with a Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Blues off tonight. They'll be back in action tomorrow at the Enterprise Center, taking on the Nashville Predators. Puck drop at 7. Pregame right here on 101 ESPN at 6:30. Tired of the NFL? Too bad. Tonight, Bears Seahawks. Pregame right here on 101 ESPN at 6:30. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American heating and air conditioning dealer.
We'll take your hitchhiking calls, police officer calls. Begging for police officer calls is a whole new genre.
They're related, too.
Whole new genre. And they could talk hitchhiking with what they've seen over the years. Late 80s, Belleville, rainy morning. Saw this guy walking, offered him a ride. He got in. I asked where he was headed, and he said the mental health clinic. I'm sure he saw the look on my face, so he explained it was to attend a DUI class. That could throw you for a loop.
Yeah.
Another suggestion was that we do some edibles and we all go out and try and hitchhike. Like, turn it into a contest.
I'm down for that.
Okay. I feel like you and Jackson will have a hitchhiking contest, and we'll send you two out into the streets.
Tops off, edibles in. We hit Olive Boulevard and just see where the day takes us.
I've heard the old hitchhiking story where a guy gets in a car and says to the driver, "Thanks for picking me up, but how do you know I'm not a mass murderer?" And the driver says, "What are the odds there'd be two of us in the same car?" Little hitchhiking humor.
I like that. I didn't know we'd have hitchhiking jokes on the show today. Cool your magnets. That sounds like a Gen Z insult. I kind of like cool your magnets.
I know some 13-year-olds.
Oh, Jay.
Shout out to the local 562 pipe fitters keeping this city moving behind the scenes. Shout out to the pipe fitters. I'm a sales rep for a liquor distributor. I'm working today. Every holiday, I'm the man behind the curtain keeping the shelves stocked with libations. Cheers. From the 636.
Yeah. Here's a guy who drove 45 minutes to Scott Air Force Base, got there, realized he left his lanyard at home. Now he's got to go back to get it. 45 minutes back home, and then 45 minutes back to Scott. That's tough.
You got to have your lanyard. Nick Saban couldn't get into SEC Media Days because he didn't have his credential on. Yes.
They didn't recognize him.
I think the guy was later interviewed, the usher or security, who said, I knew who he was, but I told him, hey, you're supposed to have it on. And he said Saban was exceedingly polite and said, I'll go get it. But I think it sounded better like he wasn't allowed in without a credential. You see the pictures, Tom Brady in Canton. He's got a lanyard on.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think Tom Brady, I kind of know who he is. Even Peyton Manning, they've all got like their name tags on. I guess it's I know, Doug, you're probably too big for that.
The hardest guy to get past in a situation like that is the minimum wage worker who's doing exactly what his boss told him to do. Don't let anybody in without a lanyard.
And you're like, you probably could have let Nick Saban. You told me.
Right.
Nobody gets in without a lanyard. Installing an electric vehicle charger today in Denver. Oh, my. They're listening in Fort Myers. They're listening in Denver. They're listening in Texas. Somebody in Texas was working on a ranch, and they sent a picture of the ranch. I like the fact now they're including photo proof of what
where
they're
they
doing.
are. Yeah.
It's not just enough for me to ask for roll call. Where you are, what you're doing, we now need actual evidence.
I think all of us could work as ranch hands. We'd be good sod busters.
Would we?
No. No, we wouldn't.
Stephen Boundbrook, what's up, Steve?
Shout out to the local 396 Iron Workers. And this is from he sent a picture out there working construction. My colleague at Fox 2, excuse me, about to sneeze.
Oh, bless you.
Oh, my. That was a good one. My colleague at Fox 2, Kevin Ryans, is from New York, and he listens to the show on occasion. Yeah. And he said the other day, what's the obsession with Mike Francesa? And I said,
reasonable question.
And I said, I have to tell you, I don't entirely know, but it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah, I don't remember. Probably just one of those pieces of audio, and then just that back after this Twitter account is just a gold mine of good stuff.
And I remember we heard at one point he was making like $4 or $5 million a year, and so we wanted to get some tips and pointers on what he did so we could bring it to our game and maybe make $4 or $5 million a year here. Hasn't worked.
Not yet.
No.
Be patient.
What works in one town maybe doesn't work in another.
Well, he was going to coach the Giants. They offered him a chance to coach the Giants.
Couldn't take the pay cut.
But it's part of the fun and games. Fun with audio, including, and KG's doing a great job on the drops, just enough to get folks fueled and fired up that want more drops from Jackson. It is hard to run the board, do all of that. I wanted to hear, and we have fun with audio, Doug. Do you want to have some fun with audio?
Sure, I'd love to.
Stephen A. Smith answers a question from a fan, and it's advice for the fellas. Is this true? This is Stephen A. with advice for the fellas.
Yes.
Okay.
So Stephen A. on his show that he does will take questions from Twitter followers, and he was sent in this query.
Hey, Stephen A., my wife wants her boyfriend to be in a family Christmas photo, but I told her no. Hold on, let me read. My wife wants her boyfriend. That's where you lost me. If she's your wife, what the hell is she doing with a boyfriend? I'm fine with her having a boyfriend, but him being in the family Christmas photo is where I draw the line. She got all upset, and now she won't even talk to me. What's your thoughts? Why are you married? Utah or someplace like that? I don't know what the polygamy is going on. I don't know what the hell's going on. She wants her boyfriend in the picture. You don't. And rather than being sensitive to your feelings, she's pissed off that the boyfriend ain't going to be in a family Christmas photo. You know what that means, right?
What?
That means she wants him, not you. Your wife has a boyfriend, that's enough solidification for your ass. Let me educate the fellas about something, all right? When a woman wants you, it's not enough that she wants you. You need to know why. Does she want you because you pay the bills? Does a woman want you because you make her laugh? That's very important when you're putting it down right. Does she want you because of that? Because chances are that last part that I just brought up does what the boyfriend's doing instead of the husband. Because this dude right here, he handling that thoroughly. You feel me?
It's a really long, thorough answer for what I wonder if it was a joke of a question in the first place.
And that was the really trimmed down version. The raw clip was like 5.5 minutes, and we had to do a little manscaping on that.
He kept rereading it to like further understand. She wants the boyfriend in the picture? Hold on here. And my wife wants the wait a minute. And then he goes on to explain how it all works. And I think it was all a spoof question. Kind of, he got Francesa there, Doug. I would say he got Francesa.
Yeah, but he handled it very well.
Yeah. This dude right here, he handling that thoroughly. You feel me?
Now, they say if you take family photos and you just have one of your kids has a boyfriend or girlfriend, you put them on the absolute end of the photo so you can crop them out later if it falls through.
And looking back at some pictures that I was in, I was put on the end, and now it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
One could easily argue there are adults who like breasts more than babies.
You've been properly clipped out of those.
You see a lot of photos now where you were on the end?
No, but there is one in particular from a destination wedding in Jamaica. And I'm on the very end of the photo, and not with that person anymore. Right. So it was an easy edit, an easy crop job.
But could have been intentional at the time, knowing that once you get cropped out, the photo's not ruined.
Yeah, could be.
Is that hurtful?
No, I really don't care at this point.
I got a Christmas card, a friend with his daughters in it, and I know one of them's married, and so it's obviously the husband. And then the other daughter had a guy next. She's not married. And I thought, that is kind of bold. He was right in the middle of the picture, clearly the boyfriend. And maybe he suggested he be in the picture. I don't know why he got included. Maybe
Poor planning. Poor planning to put him in the middle.
Yeah.
Got to put him on the end. All right, JR, Jeremy Rutherford, 9 o'clock hour. We'll talk some Blues hockey. It's 9:01. In fact, right now, that is your time check. Brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. It's the day after, on the morning after, day after Christmas, live edition of TMA, powered by Brown & Crouppen. Still a few more days for you to enjoy Wild Lights. That's what's taking place at the St. Louis Zoo. A chance to enjoy the brilliant displays, over 1 million twinkling lights, festive menus, zoo attractions, kids' activities, all of this going on at the St. Louis Zoo through December 29th. And you can support the St. Louis Zoo this holiday season by gifting a zoo membership Together Credit Union, offering exclusive zoo membership for members who sign up for the St. Louis Zoo debit card. All Together Credit Union members with that zoo debit card will receive a sea lion plush toy plus exclusive membership perks, including parking, attraction tickets, discounts. All of this by simply signing up for the St. Louis Zoo debit card. It empowers you to give back. They're going to round up the change from your transactions, donating back to the zoo for mission projects like Wild Care Park. Enroll now, togethercu.org/zoo, or stop by any of the area 14 area Together Credit Union branches. Happy holidays from your friends at Together Credit Union, federally insured by NCUA. Design Air Heating and Cooling email today that's coming your way, 10 o'clock hour. I just realized I called for the Stephen A. clip, and that was supposed to be part of the board meeting in the 10 o'clock hour. I've cut into the smut and stuff, Doug. I apologize.
Well, if I've learned anything about smut and stuff is that there's never a bad time for it. So we got to a little early. That's fine. We're flexible in here, especially Doug.
Yeah. I don't have much of a catalog for smut and stuff material.
I've been learning on this show. You could buy a house from the Sears catalog and put it together.
Used to be able to, not anymore. Mm-hmm.
We asked for police officers to phone in, and shockingly, they didn't. We've had a lot of hitchhiking tales. Also, it's being encouraged that we have a little hitchhiking competition. Maybe it's Jackson and KG when we're all back together.
Mm-hmm. Won't be till after the first of the year, right?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because I'm out next week.
Mm-hmm.
You going somewhere fun?
With the family. We're going up to the cabin in Wisconsin. We've been to many times over the years, tucked into the woods. It really is the middle of nowhere. The problem is I looked at the weather. It hasn't been snowing much. And the reason we go and the kids love it is all the snow. There's a little skiing around there. If it snows enough, you can go snowmobiling. But right now, I think it was going to be in the 30s and 40s, which for them is like summertime.
How cold? Yeah, that's not.
You guys
cool.
often holiday in Wisconsin?
We tend to. We've got friends up there. I went to Marquette, and a lot of guys are still in that area. When I was a kid, we lived there. But this is a college friend whose dad has this cabin. And it's like a small lodge. They have their own pond, lake.
Oh, gosh.
Large enough to get out and mess around in the summertime, of course. But it's Amish country, too. So every once in a while, you're back on these country roads, and you'll see a little buggy up ahead. I think they have the right of way. I always yield to the Amish when in doubt.
I asked this question yesterday on the TMA fan page on Facebook. You can request to join. I'm not sure we'll let you, but it's there. How many of your friends from high school would you say that at this point in your life you still talk to on a regular basis? And for this, you can define regular basis however you'd like.
High school?
High school.
Are you doing versus college or just in general?
Just in general. How many? We gave options like 0, 1, 2 to 5, 5 or more. I'm in the 1 category. I basically have one person I went to high school with that I keep in touch with on any sort of regularity. And we were talking about that, and we kind of thought we were probably on the low end. And how many, Doug, from the Kirkwood class of 1953, how many people do you?
53.
How many people do you keep in contact with?
Really close on a regular basis, like once a week or so, it'd be 2 or 3. And on a yearly basis, maybe 7 or 8.
I mean,
maybe 10.
You know, that probably dwindles as you get older.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, I'm knocking on 40's door, and one person from Seckman is still kind of a mainstay in my life.
Huh. As you get older, your friends tend to be the parents of your kids' friends.
Yeah, some people commented that's
your
their
kids
social circle now.
Your kids play on teams, and you spend 2 or 3 nights a week at soccer practice or baseball games, and you get to know all your neighbors.
And that worries me a little bit because I've made pretty clear my stance on having children myself.
No kids.
And
so it eliminates that friend group for you.
Yeah, and you know, I've already noticed in my typical social circle all the ones that run out and have kids and start families, and obviously their time is taken up with that kind of stuff. Kind of falling off with them, but yeah, my social circle seems to shrink by the day.
Maybe the hitchhiking circuit will pick up some of your friend groups. How did you guys meet? I was hitchhiking. For me, high school, I mean, a couple of guys I'm still friends with, but we never see each other, never talk about my college buddies I hear from all the time, like texting, calling, even though they're out of town, pretty regularly texting back and forth. And I remember on a college visit, it was Cousin John was at Marquette, and the college visit, they meet with the admissions team, and the guy said, I know you have all your high school buddies, but your college friends are the ones that you're going to stay in touch with the rest of your life. I don't think that's true for Cousin John. He's still tight with all of his high school friends, but for me, it was more college.
Did you guys do your high school reunions over the years?
I don't think I've been in a while. I think I went to my 15th.
I helped plan the 10, and it was such a hassle.
What was it a tribute to your athletic career as part of the docket?
No, I was also, in addition to being just a scholar athlete, I was also senior.
You were a scholar?
Yeah, honor society. And
really?
Yeah. I forgot what I was saying there.
Well, that doesn't go very well with the scholarly.
You asked if we went to our reunions, and you said you helped plan yours.
I was vice president, so I got to. I planned the reunion. We rented out a place where we had all you could eat, all you could drink. Sand volleyball courts were open. Had a good time, but you just can't please that many people. And I said I would never plan them again. So the 20 just recently went by. I did not attend that.
Why not?
Still shook by the 10th.
You should have. Go to those things. It's fun.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've gone to all mine that I could.
I might catch. Do they do 25, or is the next one third? Do they do them in that sort of increment?
Should be every 5.
Whoever gets the whole thing going in your class, they kind of decide.
Would a graduating class at Seckman be like 100 to 200 or huge?
330.
330 in the graduating class?
Yeah, I was.
Oh my goodness!
In 2003, our class was right around 330.
We were close to, I think, 650 or so at
in
Kirkwood.
Your class?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That explains it.
Well, how big was your high school?
I was CBC, class of 86. I think we had 200 kids, something like that, which seemed like a lot.
Well, that'd be 400 if you went to a
co-ed
school. Yeah.
If KG needs more friends, he can join my bowling league. That's
how about that?
636. He just got an offer to join a bowling league.
Poor bowler. I could come and hang out though.
You're kind of zeroed in on this hitchhiking support group.
Yeah.
Martin, take a detour to Brainerd or to Isabella, Minnesota. I'm going to get you a sled dog excursion and some ice fishing. It's a little out of the way, but I might do it I haven't ice fished since the days in Rhinelander, Doug.
God,
the glorious days up north.
I did that a few times. That's just not my thing.
Minute Bowl eligible, graduated in 1980, have never attended a reunion.
Well, you should go.
Yeah, Minute Bowl.
See the old folks. It's funny how some of them look almost exactly how they used to, and others you wouldn't know it if they had a name tag on you because no, that's not you.
You had people come up to you on the streets and say, Doug, how you doing? And you're like, hey, good. And they're like,
oh, yeah.
Billy Higgins, I was with you. And you're like, oh, yeah, for sure.
Higgsy, yeah.
Yeah. Guys, you've been metaphorically hitchhiking with Tim for the last 20 years. Give the man some road top for crying out loud.
Okay,
that's from
enough.
Mr. Big Cream. I didn't see it. I got hit.
Daddy's ready to bottom.
Oh. Oh.
Cherish the cabin, Martin. Cherish the cabin. I will cherish the cabin.
Well, I prefer a summer vacation. Summer weather type vacation.
My wife
not going in the summer.
My wife says we're going the wrong way. We're going north.
I think so, yeah.
A giant glob right into my right eye. An enormous glob into my right eye.
Oh.
Late to the party here. Voice texted while driving and just got a message that said, message send failure. The name is Greg, loan officer. I work at Together Credit Union. When you're 100% commission, you are never off work. A lot of folks working today.
Well, that's probably true.
Work in IT. Typically, we get the week of Christmas off, but I'm heading to Memphis to work on a large project. 6 days straight, lots of overtime. Nice bonus for going during Christmas, New Year's from the 314.
Well, then you do it. You've taken care of Christmas at this point. If you can get away from the family a little bit, you can make some extra money.
Carlos Spicy Winter. Not working the rest of this week because I went to SLU High. So if you went to SLU High, you get the week off.
A little uppity.
You could go in and what if you went to SLU High but were working this week? Could you just go and tell them, I'm sorry, you may not understand. I went to the U High.
You know who the best of radio is?
No.
Tim.
By the way, Mike Lee has resurfaced as a caller to the Fox 2 Sports Department after like 5 years.
Lucky you.
And I said, Mike, where have you been? He said, hey, you tell Tim I'm mad at the Blues. I said, I did the other day. Hey, did you tell Tim? I said, I want to know where were you? He stopped calling for 5 years. The Boomers are on one today. Bless you, KG. Mr. Siders knows you're dealing with the olds over here.
I'm loving this. I kind of feel I'm not going to. No, I'm going to stop what I was going to say.
You're starting to get cocky over there, weren't you?
Not cocky, but things have been good today.
Okay.
Oh, you don't want to jinx it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was thinking last night, I've gotten to know you pretty well. I've been around for a couple years now. You and I have started to get to know each other a little more over the last month and a half. But I was just thinking, it is absolutely wild to me that tomorrow I'm going in and doing a show with these guys that I watched on TV forever, kind of gotten to know a little bit. I'm as grateful as I could be.
Oh,
This is just incredible.
Oh. And how do we treat you in response to your gratefulness? We told you to go outside and hitchhike. That was our response to you.
To do with him.
Checking in from beautiful Lake St. Louis from the 314.
Oh, okay.
Accountant rotting in the office doing accounting stuff. That'd be a good handle, rotting in the office. Our friend who's out there working on the ranch in West Texas just said taking applications. So if you need friends, we got a bowling league.
For ranch work?
Yeah. He just said she said I'm taking applications.
We'd have to learn how to punch doggies?
Yes. Out on the ranch. After all these Taylor Sheridan shows, I think everybody wants to be a rancher. Well, is JR here? I saw you waving.
Yes, he's
actually in the building.
Oh, nice.
Wow. Okay. Well, we got a lot to get.
You guys are outnumbered. We got 50% Jeffco in here.
I don't think we're outnumbered. I think that's even.
Oh, yeah. Math wasn't my strong suited segment.
I thought Jackson was
you were an honor student.
Hold on. You were a scholar athlete. He just said we've got you outnumbered 2-2.
Outgirthed. We've got you outgirthed.
Oh, gosh. All right, we'll give you that. It is TMA brought to you by Brown and Crouppen. I always thought it was Tim's fault that the clock was off. You give me that steering wheel, Doug. I'll keep us right in the lane.
Well, it doesn't happen, does it?
Nope. We're way off.
All right.
It's 9:19. We got in all the hitchhiking talk. We just didn't get all the breaks in properly. We do have some blues talk on tap. Jeremy Rutherford, JR, is in the house.
Oh, here he is.
All right. JR, thanks for coming in. Was it the Jeffco oil change talk that caused you to get in your car and head this way?
Yeah, I was thinking about doing the hit from the phone today, and I thought, you know what, we'll get in there and talk some Jeffco. Actually, I had a few minutes. I was early, so I drove by Seckman High School. Did not see any numbers retired. Didn't say chairman anywhere. No scholar. No.
What's up with that?
Cards on the walls. Nothing.
They don't want to make the other Jeffco kids feel bad by showing them all my accolades.
Who's the most famous graduate from Seckman?
Oh, man.
You got any?
One is fine.
I got to be in the...
Oh, no.
I got to be
No.
10.
I would
10.
think so, sure.
Got to be top 10. There's been no professional athletes that I'm aware of.
All right. And this is normally where you do this, but you're busy. KG's running the board. Martin, Doug with JR here. Can you handle this, Doug? Most famous Seckman graduates.
Oh, okay.
See what you can come with this. Meanwhile, JR's here.
Yeah, and I wanted to tell you guys, he'll be in a couple minutes. I picked up Federico hitchhiking.
Oh, he was hitchhiking?
Yeah, he was hitchhiking.
Did he have a shirt off?
Yeah.
I bet in Foam Lake it was okay to hitchhike. Hey, there's Federico's boy. Hey, Bernie, get in the back here. In the pickup on top of a hay bale, probably.
He probably did that some in his youth. Growing up in the 70s, I'm sure he did.
Yep. We didn't get into it. Spent about 20 hours out at his house writing that book, hearing a bunch of stories about
we never talked hitchhiking in Foam Lake.
It never came up.
Well, I got to tell you, we gave away a copy of that book last week.
Yeah,
and
thanks.
People were texting like crazy. And some really great stories about going to games with their dad or their son or their wife and kids and whatnot. I felt bad that we didn't have more books to give.
Yeah, no, we can get you some if you need some.
We can also buy it.
Great situation. I mean, you grew up watching Bernie Federico. I grew up in St. Louis, lifelong fan, and all of a sudden you're sitting in his house, for hours on end putting a book together, and it was crazy. I'd say, hey, Bernie, what's your schedule? I will be out whenever it works out best for you today, so we can work on them. No, JR, whenever you want to come out, you just come out wherever you want to come out. Like, just the most down to earth, as you guys know, guy there out there.
And his wife Bernadette.
She's
I love
great.
the fact it's Bernie and Bernadette. Doug's wife is Dougette.
Both were Bernies.
Yes, I love that. We got a Blues game tomorrow back at home. It's been a while, right? 11-15 on the road. But at some point, they got to start playing better at home. That's the other thing. I mean, Montgomery's been on the road with this team a ton. They've been pretty good on the road. Got to find a way at home to get some momentum.
Yeah, they do. And we've all talked about it being such a big grind here lately. And with that comes a lot of road games. And, when they started off so well, winning those road games, you thought to yourself, wow, this team can do this on the road. It can do it at home and really get back into this thing. But the home wins haven't really come. But I think this reset will be good. The 3 days off. Montgomery said the other day that this is a team that hadn't slept in its own bed 4 nights in a row, but finally got the chance to do that. So now a few more. And then Nashville, everybody talks about them scuffling here this season. But they've won a few big games here, 3 out of their last 4, beat L.A., so a couple nice wins for them. And then Buffalo comes to town. KG, and he knows that, Buffalo hasn't done too much this season. 13-game losing streak, in fact. They just ended that the other day, 7-1 win over the Islanders, so they'll come in on Sunday. So, you got one opponent coming in playing pretty well, Nashville, and Buffalo not so hot.
Pat LaFontaine still on that club?
Did he go to Seckman? He would be the most famous Seckman graduate.
I think he was Fox.
Was he Fox?
He was neither.
Did he go to Kirkwood, Doug?
No, he played at Kirkwood.
He left when he was like 5, right?
Yeah, like 1 year of kindergarten hockey.
Where do you claim him?
Seckman didn't, I think the first graduating class was either 99 or 2000, so it wasn't like there was just decades of people prior to me, but
no,
I don't think there's been many people that have done what I've done since me.
Friend of the show, Jim Powers, high school analyst guru, said famous Seckman grad would be Cole Rubel, one of the best running backs in the history of St. Louis high school sports.
Oh, really?
How about that one, KG?
Yeah.
I had heard he played the QB position, right, at Seckman, but then went on to college to play.
Who?
Rubel?
That I don't know. Somebody told me the other day that Seckman had kind of turned around their football because it was kind of a joke back in the early part of at the turn of the century. But I think they played Jackson. They were right there, going to maybe play Kirkwood if they could get by somebody in that sectional.
Way to pay attention. It sounds like you're up on it. It's
Really,
cool that you
really?
really tore up in the...
We were going to play somebody after they beat somebody, and if we won that, we would have played somebody else.
They haven't had me back to do any speaking engagements or anything, so I'm a little bitter after
Well,
all
you do
I
have us
did.
outnumbered. Jeffco's got us outnumbered, Doug, 2-2.
I will tell you, the thing that I'm probably most famous for at Seckman.
What?
Famous for?
Was my sophomore and junior year.
Pie eating contest.
No.
What happened?
I learned the choreography to NSYNC songs.
I can see that.
And taught them to 4 of my buddies, and we performed at the talent show as In Seckman.
How'd that go over?
Great. I, of course, played Justin Timberlake.
Right.
Of course.
I had the bedazzled bandana on, but I spent hours watching the concert DVD, learned the moves myself, taught them to the other 4 boys. My mom made the costumes from the real concert. It was a whole production.
Wow.
The ladies just absolutely went crazy.
So is this what could have led to the small social circle?
Is this a byproduct of that?
Just he and his boys.
Yeah.
Were you a Tubby Timberlake?
Oh, yeah. Tubby Timberlake. That would
Hey,
that
we're
would be
people too.
Yeah.
That's my new handle.
But, I think 60% of the guys from Seckman have kind of gone through some issues. There needs to be a
Well, when
behind
you're a
the
child
music
star, it
done.
happens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What do you mean issues?
Just legal trouble, divorces, arrests.
Oh.
We were a hard scrabble group of teenage boy dancers.
Oh, I don't consider divorce an issue. Arrest, maybe that's an issue.
I felt like you were going to go into a divorce ad right there. So that's recorded.
Rubles, the running back at SEMO, played quarterback at Seckman from the 3-1.
Yeah, really. We saw him a few times.
He's
Friday Night Lights right down the street from my house.
Thank you.
The Seckman kids.
All right. So he's number 1, and KG over here is number 2.
According to
people are asking for video evidence of in Seckman.
There is video out there. I'll see if I can find it, maybe digitize it. I think it was taken on technology that's a little obsolete now, but I bet it's out there. There's pictures. I have some pictures I'll make accessible.
Maybe that Mizzou girl who saw
if she only knew.
No, seeing her and predicting what her age might have been, I don't know that she would even know who NSYNC was. Okay. She was a little younger.
Oh gosh.
Not weird younger, but
okay. Not B Diddy.
Did you win some sort of prize for this dance you did?
Free lunch.
I mean, there was no prizes, but just like the glory. We got the closing act.
The glory of it all made it worthwhile.
I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. The screaming of the gym full of teenage girls when we ran and jumped up on stage was deafening.
Just like Elvis.
It would be like the Beatles or Elvis.
Yeah, it was like a modern day Jeffco Elvis.
From the 314, I have video evidence. That's what they're saying, that they can. I don't know how they can get that to us, but we would welcome that video. Thank you from the 314. Also, high school friend related, Gary Kornfeld, friend of the show. Brentwood boys, class of 73. Golf once a week. Wow. We stay in contact, about a dozen of us from the high school ranks. Jared, where'd you go to high school?
I went to the Lutheran South. I was listening to you guys on the way in.
Lutheran South. It's like the Ohio State University.
Cody Schrader, then JR,
Cody
back
Schrader,
to back.
For sure, right? Yeah. And no awards, no scholarly awards, no academic, no school sports, nothing there. In fact, I played guard and tackle on the football team. I guarded the water set at the end of the bench and tackled anybody that came through.
Oh, no. Yeah. Were you on the club?
I was on the club, yeah.
But you didn't get to play?
We won one game in my 2 varsity seasons, so we went 1-19, and we beat DeBerg.
No, did you? You clipped them.
Clipped them 25-0.
Did you get to play at all?
I got to go in when we were losing 49-0. We played Lutheran North. I always have battles with Scotty Warman because he went to Lutheran North, and I still have it ingrained in my memory. They had a running back by the last name of Jerry Terry, and their announcer up there at North would say, Jerry Terry gets the carry. He's to the 30, the 20, 10. Touchdown, Lutheran North. Lutheran North 42, Lutheran South 3.
Ouch.
I thought he was going to rhyme Jerry Terry Carey with something else.
Yeah, you were waiting for it. See,
and things are getting hairy for the South.
You would have if you were the guy.
Crusaders. Where'd you go to college, JR?
I went to UMSL for a cup of coffee, got up to about 100 hours, and then there was so much work at the Post-Dispatch. That was back when, now they have all the online courses. I think there were like 4 at the time. We're talking mid-90s, and I took all 4 of them. I couldn't take any more, so never did get to the end of that degree.
But you were a savant. You were a protege, and they just scooped you up into the business at a young age.
Yeah, yeah.
We were trying to determine if you...
Same thing happened to Bill Gates at Harvard.
Yeah.
He had to drop out to start Microsoft.
Yeah, our futures didn't work out the same. But I was listening to the conversation you guys had earlier. I actually hang out with grade school friends. In fact, we hung out last week. Guys that, I met in third grade, probably stayed with them until about eighth grade, went to different high schools. I hang out with those guys more than I do with the high school fellows.
Believe it or not, we're way off in our timing. I think
we're in segment 4-3A.
This is actually the 7 o'clock hour. No, it's actually 9:29. Our clock means nothing to you folks at home. That time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. What we'll do, though, is we'll take a break. Come back. JR, Jeremy Rutherford, The Athletic, Blues conversation, text in. Do they have to be two-part? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay, two-part questions, Blues-related, Jeffco-related, doesn't matter. Text those in, and the text line is 314-399-9646. It's the Air Comfort Service text line. Jeremy Rutherford in the house. The Morning After here, brought to you by Brown & Crouppen. Let's talk about our friends at Auto Loan Pro. Friend of the show, Robert Thomas, does the TV commercials, also featured prominently on the website, autoloanpro.com. And the story there is people buying cars and aren't sure what kind of car they can afford. You can do it with little money down. They're going to make sure to get you the best rate. Even if you're in a bad circumstance right now, they're going to find a way to find you a car. In addition to that, when you go to the website, autoloanpro.com, there's a playbook that you can download. It talks all about how a credit history is built, the factors that go into your credit, good or bad. So you're going to learn in addition to buying a car. All of that, one spot, autoloanpro.com. Make a large purchase like this. Yes, it's complicated, but the Auto Loan Pro can help you get back on track. They work with over 50 lenders to get you the best financing possible. There's only one thing to know. Choose the Auto Loan Pro, autoloanpro.com. Get online, download the playbook, get educated, and get a new car. It is autoloanpro.com. Auto Loan Pro is part of the Lita family. (9:33) the Morning After. Tim, Jackson, on vacation together, I believe, Doug. They're vacationing
I believe
together.
so. Yeah, they usually travel together.
Doug Vaughn is here, the Iron Horse. KG running the show. We're not allowed to talk about it, JR, because it's kind of like a no-hitter, but he's having a great day at the board.
I blew the perfect game last segment.
That's all right. It happens. Jeremy Rutherford taking two-part questions. Is there a backstory to that? Were you always taking, or did it just sort of become a thing? Did you encourage the two-part?
And on that show, KG could probably tell us, I think maybe, Doug, you could tell us too, were there other people that took the two-parters? I thought that was kind of a TMA thing, the two-part questions, but...
I think that started when we had Lisa Ann as our fantasy football expert.
Yep, you're spot on there, Doug.
And people would ask her football questions and then maybe something that was kind of naughty at the end.
Yeah.
And so now it's carried over to many of our guests.
Yeah, so Martin, the first hit I ever did with TMA, I remember that I was up at 6 a.m. in a Seattle hotel, went down to the lobby to do the hit with these guys, and they called me. And they introduced me, and then they talked for about 7 minutes before they ever got to a question. I'm pacing this hotel in Seattle. And then, but yeah, the two-parters. First one, usually a Blues legit question, wouldn't you say, Doug, sometimes? But then the second one kind of gets off the rails.
This might be the longest I've ever been a guest on the show and not spoken.
All right, let's see. God, there's so many to run through here. JR, two-part question with Joel Goler. I guess talking about Hofer playing so well. If the Blues are out of it at the deadline, could Binner be tossed around as a trade piece? Secondly, who's the best tendy to come out of Jeffco? Best to come out of Jeffco.
Best goaltender?
So you take them in either order.
So first they went with the goaler, now they're going with the tendy, so we get the two nicknames.
Any scenario where Binner could be trade bait?
I don't see it. So he's got a couple years left on the contract. Doug wants to be competitive, and you got a great goalie tandem with Binnington and Joel Hofer. So I don't see it. I think they would be considering like a step back in terms of we're going to rebuild if they're moving out Binnington, even though Hofer's definitely qualified to be a good goaltender in this league. So I just don't see that. Sekman goalie, Chairman, what do you think? Paid attention to
Best
that Sekman
tendy.
team a lot?
No, and I think when I was there, hockey was a club team. It wasn't like necessarily sanctioned by MSHA or something like that.
Yeah, always has been.
And I didn't play, didn't have any friends that played, so I'm clueless on this topic.
You think Hofer is good enough to be a number one now?
To play at Sekman, yeah, he could be.
I don't mean to play at Sekman. I mean the NHL.
The NHL.
Yeah.
At this point,
is Joel Hofer good enough to play at Sekman?
I think you could have Joel Hofer. Teams around the league would love to have Joel Hofer as their number one. That's probably the best way to say it.
Yeah.
Do the Blues want to do it? No, you want a tandem, especially the way that NHL teams run their goalies these days.
I think he's emerging, though, is he not? Like, his stock even around the league?
Yeah, for sure. The big question is, Marty, he's a restricted free agent, so he's going to be due a contract. Is he a guy that you give some term to, or is he a guy they do one of these bridge deals?
But to play at Sekman, he'd have to come up with a couple $1,000s. Can his parents do that?
I don't know if they can, and I don't know if he can with this $900,000 entry-level contract he has.
It'd be a push. Struggle.
What rink does Sekman play their home games at?
I believe they are
Shark
at
Tank?
I think they play at the Shark Tank, and then also I think they play a lot at Kennedy.
Yeah.
Frustrated Blackhawks fan in St. Louis. Two-part question. What have been the major missteps in the Hawks rebuild, and what is JR's favorite Blackhawks Blues memory from the 3-1-4? It's actually a real double-part question.
That's a two-parter with two legit ones, yeah. Well, I think with the Blackhawks, it just hasn't come together. I think when you do, and this is what Doug Armstrong's talking about, when you strip it down, you just never know. It could be 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and that's what it's become with the Blackhawks. Granted, they got Bedard, and it'll be a situation in a couple of years where he'll be tearing it up, and everybody says that was the way to go, the rebuild. But look what they're going through in the meantime. I just think they've brought in a bunch of parts, and it hasn't come together. And then the best Blues Blackhawks story, I actually had a section on this, a chapter on this in my Blues book. I talked to some of the law enforcement, have anybody called in today?
They have not.
This is the only
sports radio show in America asking the police to call in.
I think they had a little substation or at least a place back at the old arena where the cops used to gather. And
Jimmy Mayer could answer these questions.
He could answer all these, yeah. And what I was told is that, now remember all these Blues, Blackhawks brawls, all the fights on the ice, the players on their way out of the arena would stop by the substation and sit down and talk with the cops and ask them to tell them about the fights that the fans had in the seats.
Jared, do you think Army's going to acquire a number 2 center this year for the young guys, or just wait for the young guys to come up? Question number 2, have you ever seen Dougie get his diaper changed at the changing table asking for a friend? Thanks.
We don't need that. We don't need that noise.
I don't think they'd go out and get a number 2 center. I mean, that'd be like going out and get a Timberlake dancer when you've already got one in the room. They've already got one in the room with Dvorsky. So I think it's just a matter of when he's going to get here. And just the one time, Doug probably doesn't remember it, but I did see the diaper changed on the changing
For
station.
heaven's sakes.
Call your shot today. Will this Blues team make the playoffs? Boy, Carlos Spicy Wiener would like a prediction there. Do you want to answer, and then I'll go on to part 2? Maybe?
Well, my bold prediction at the beginning of the season was that they'd make the playoffs, but then you lose a Broberg for 12 games. You lose a Thomas. Now you have the coaching change, which has kind of turned things around in terms of the positive. I think there's a chance. The only thing is there's a lot of ground to make up. I mean, you got some teams to jump, but you look at the standings, 4 or 5 points out from the wild card, and you're still here in December, so there's a chance.
Yeah, right now they're 4 points out, but Dallas has 3 games in hand.
Yep, this time of year there's always a games in hand situation. But if they, hit the reset here, like I said, come back, see how they play, get into the new year, I think it's definitely some ground that they can make up.
Part 2, my wife's side of the family is from Jeffco. Do I need to get my son checked for any potential issues that could have arisen from the multiple prior generations of inbreeding? That's part 2.
Yeah, are they related? Even though probably related. There's a lot of inbreeding.
There is?
In Jeffco. Clip that. No, there's not. At least that I
wouldn't think so, because there's plenty of people to go around.
Yeah.
You don't have to marry a cousin or anything.
Candidate from Jefferson County.
Well, let's put it this way. I think when you go to events, a lot of people are dating people or married to people. They grew up in the same circle.
Yeah.
JR, longtime texter, first-time listener. What do you think the key to turning around the 5th worst power play is, aside from the crowd screaming, shoot? It always helps when the crowd screams.
Just keep doing that. Steve Ott asked me to tell everybody, if you could just tell these guys to shoot, we think we can get this thing turned around. So.
They are moving Tomer, right? Oh, you wrote a big piece about Robert Thomas.
Yeah, but to your point about the power play, they did. They moved him down low to the left of the net, and I think Montgomery was doing an interview the other night and gave Steve Ott credit for that.
I appreciated that, because they said, tell us about the guys. I wish I could take credit. It was Otter's idea.
Yeah. And has it worked yet? No, they haven't gotten the power play going, obviously. Just a couple games since that change, maybe just one. But so Robert Thomas down low, and it just looks like it could create and open up some more for the Blues on the power play. So we'll see on that. But, touched on Robert Thomas. We did a story on him a couple days ago. I spent 3 hours at his folks' house up in Toronto last year and finally got the piece out. Only took a year. And just a lot of fun stories with Robert Thomas growing up. What motivated him? How did we always talk about Marty? I said this the other day. I made the comparison. Maybe it's worse to do it in front of the 2 sports guys here. But Cusimano, what's he do? He always, Marty, what's he do? No hedging, and he does. I want to. What makes him tick? What makes him tick?
Does it usually take you a year or so to write an article?
Usually a couple years. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to overdo it.
Yeah, not too many. But no, I wanted to find out what made Robert Thomas tick, and I feel like going and talking to his folks for a couple hours kind of led to some good stories about that.
Did you ask his parents, one hockey player to save your entire family, your entire life, for the whole family, the life of your entire family?
I wanted to save that for Frank.
Yeah. JR, longtime texter, we read that part. Oh, also, if you can add one member of the 91-92 Blues to the current squad, why would it be Mario Marois? I don't know that name. Doug, do you remember Mario
Marois?
So they gave you the answer while also asking the question.
Yeah, what if it's him that I don't want to pick?
There is video of KG as in segment that has been sent to the show. Video and
how can we play that on the air? Can you move the
proof
monitor to the YouTube camera?
I don't know if I'm confident in touching all that equipment, but if it's there, we can get it, and I'm not ashamed of it. I'm proud of it.
How many years ago would this have been?
Sophomore and junior year of high school. It was in the wintertime. It was probably right around this time, Doug. So probably looking at 01, 02. So a couple decades plus.
23
Tubby
years.
Timberlake. JR, what's the average FICO credit score on the St. Louis Blues? And do you think that's impacting their performance? That's question 1. Question 2, is Dash considered one of your grade school friends?
I think that I thought you were going to ask the FICO credit score of Jefferson County, which that's about a 520.
Blues got to be up in the 800.
You're never going to be president of Jefferson County with this sort of attitude.
Hey, listen, everybody gives me trouble. Hey, quit ripping on Jeffco. I'm laughing with you. I'm from there.
Okay.
I had a chance to move to Kirkwood, but I saw that the house was open next to Doug, and I decided to stay where I was at. And then my good buddy Dash, that is the best guy in the world.
Dash?
Yeah, that's a good friend, Dash from the Jeffco. And I took him to a blues speaking engagement with Barrett Jackman one time. And it said on the sheet as we were heading down there, Marty, you've been to a lot of these dinners, right? Said we were going to have salmon. And Dash said, they're not going to serve salmon at this thing. This is a railroad, construction group. And I said, whatever's on the sheet, that's what I'm expecting. And they put the salmon in front of us, and Dash was none too happy.
Wow. So he was mad.
I
thought he was saying it's going to be too fancy.
He was ready for the steak.
JR, if the Predators keep tanking, and you mentioned that they're playing better, would they move O'Reilly? Also, if the Blues aren't interested in O'Reilly, would they be interested in the Thrashers center, Ray Ferraro, Al in Dadeville? Could O'Reilly be on the move? I guess.
I suppose, but
but not here.
The Predators could go any direction. But now that they've got it going again, I mean, there's still plenty of time. We're not in February, so these teams can get it going. I don't think that the Blues would have any interest. That train's gone on. Yeah. I think they might have had some interest after he went to Toronto, but he might have wanted more than they were thinking at that point. And I think it was good for the Blues to move on and promote Thomas, and he's your number one guy. So
O'Reilly's 33 now.
Yeah,
if you're trying to get younger and look down the road, probably not the type of guy
it doesn't
you're
mesh with
for.
anything that Doug's done, in terms of the forwards.
Speaking of Hofer and his value, how does it stack up compared to Husso's value prior to the season before he left? That's an interesting comp, I guess.
Yeah. No, Husso, he goes on to Detroit and
join us in the 10 o'clock hour here. We're trying to get our clock back on track. It's Timmy's fault.
Certainly
Don't you think?
Because, he set the stage for this.
He set us all
He's
up.
been the trailblazer. He showed us how not to handle the clock.
Guys, cannot call in at the moment, but I enjoy texting in. Sincerely, St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department. So somebody speaking for the entire SLM PD.
It's good to have those guys on our side, though.
Mm-hmm. I saw another hitchhiking joke. The guy says, what's the difference between a Ferrari and a hitchhiker? He says, I don't have a Ferrari tied up in my trunk.
We'll take your hitchhiking jokes and calls from police officers. We're getting the clock back on track. It's the morning after, live on the day after Christmas. It's here, brought to you on 101 ESPN by Brown and Crouppen. Listening from the Wells Fargo Advisors downtown location. That's from Illini Jeff.
Oh.
Yeah, all you Mizzou geeks in here. Don't forget about the Illini, huh? Got that bragging rights win over the weekend. They're going to the Citrus Bowl. Music City Bowl. Doug will be out Monday because he'll be down in Nashville taking the whole family to the Music City Bowl.
Mm-hmm. Very interested in that game.
Okay. That's coming up on Monday. Brady Cook's farewell. By the way, he is third. We were talking about Mizzou quarterbacks earlier with Bo Prabula's addition. Brady Cook's going to go over 9,000 yards passing. He's already third all-time Missouri passing leader yardage. Number one, Doug.
Chase Daniel?
Yes. Do you know who number two is? I just sort of forgot.
Blaine Gabbert?
No, Blaine is seventh on the list, all-time yardage.
Brad Smith?
Brad Smith is number 4 on Mizzou's all-time passing yards list.
Kent Kiefer?
Kent Kiefer is actually 11th.
Can I have initials, please?
DL.
Donnie Lewis?
DL. Drew Lock.
Drew Lock. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Over 12,000 yards. So as prominent as Brady Cook has been, he's still 3,000 yards behind Drew Lock. You sort of forget
how good he was. He led the SEC in passing one year, I think.
Over 12. He was just shy of Chase Daniels' Mizzou record. Although when it comes to touchdowns, nobody's even close with, or I say no, but not. Drew Lock and Chase Daniel, nobody's even close to them in touchdowns thrown at Mizzou. Chase Daniel, 101 in his career. Drew Lock, 99. And then after that, it drops off. Brad Smith, 56. Brady Cook, 48. Anyway, you get the idea, Doug, but I forgot that Drew Lock was as prolific. That's why he's in the NFL.
Right.
And still cashing checks.
He has all the measurables you could possibly want for an NFL quarterback. He's got the size, speed, athleticism. He can throw the ball 70 yards in the air. It's just something separates the guys who make it big and the guys who just kind of struggle while they're there. And I think that's probably the mental part of the game. Because when you watch the really good quarterbacks, they always seem to find the open receiver. They're able to read that defense real quickly and know who's going to be open. Like when you watch Kurt Warner play in his prime and Peyton Manning and some of these guys that really tear it up, there always seems to be a guy wide open. And there probably is on every play. There's somebody to throw to. But a lot of quarterbacks can't figure out who that's going to be until it's too late.
I've been fascinated with Brady's career arc just from going to a guy that wanted to be there so bad, tried to chase him out of town, and just, then became the hero, and then he was the bad guy again at the beginning of this year, and then when he came back from the hospital in that Auburn game, that kid he went through it, man, from start to finish.
He had a heck of a career.
Yeah.
And he'd love to go out on top. I talked to him at the MAC last week, those Jack Buck Sports Awards, and he said, we want to finish with a win. And it does, 10-3 does sound way different than 9-4. It's one digit, but a 10-win season, even though it doesn't mean anything, you're not in the college football playoff, you walk away 10-3 versus 9-4.
Yeah.
I do think that sounds incredible.
And that's how far Mizzou football has come, and we're kind of disappointed that they might only be 10-3 with a bowl win. When there was many, many years there where they weren't even in the picture for anything close to that.
Did you guys see James Franklin, the QB, is coming back to play at West Virginia? Not the former Mizzou quarterback. He's on that list, by the way.
He'd be mid-30s at this point, wouldn't he?
Oh, I think at least.
He was another guy that did a lot of good things. I think he was underappreciated in his run as quarterback there.
He was kind of in an era, too. Did he come right after Gabbert?
Yeah, I think
until
so.
He got nicked a little bit because he wasn't, pro type like Gabbert. He is 5th all-time in Mizzou passing yardage. Jeff Handy is 6th, Doug.
Going back to Bob Stoll here.
Phil Bradley's on the list. Marlon Adler. Connor Bazelak is 10th all-time in Mizzou in passing yardage. It just shows.
That's the most surprising thing on the list.
What, did they have 2 years where he was a quarterback?
I don't know.
Well, it used to be more of a running game than it is now. College football, especially, even more than the NFL. College football used to be run, run, run. Those Oklahoma and Nebraska teams that were so good, that's all they did was run.
Times have changed.
They sure have.
I'm trying to read this hitchhiker joke to see if I can.
Oh, we got another good one?
Well, I'm trying to see if it's appropriate, Doug, for the audience. It's a hitchhiker joke from Collinsville. Kevin had his golfing gear on the back seat. The Irish hitchhiker girl picked up something and said, "What are these?" "Those are tees," he said. "I rest my balls on them when I drive."
No.
Well, golfing, do your golf tees, right? So you put the ball on a tee and you drive.
I see now.
"Wow," said the girl. What will those car makers think of next? There it is. Hitchhiking humor that you didn't know you needed here on the Morning After. It's 10 o'clock. That time check's brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers. We're going to talk to Dan Kelly, hockey announcer who's got Big Ten hockey coming up at Wrigley Field. I'm guessing they do this whole hockey layout for the NHL, and they thought, let's do some Big Ten hockey there as well. So we'll talk to Dan Kelly. Other side of the break, it's also the chairman's board meeting, 10 o'clock hour. Text in throughout it, 399-9646. It's the Air Comfort Service text line. Be a part of the show here on 101 ESPN. You still have time to run out to Massage Envy and give the gift of me time this holiday season. Massage Envy gift cards selling through now till December 31st, so next week. Up until the end of the year, when you buy $150 in gift cards, you'll get a free $40 promo card in return. So if you're still looking for a gift for someone on your list or for yourself, think about it. Going into 2025, a great massage or a facial or a stretch session, you can decide if you get those gift cards. Get them for yourself, get them for gifts. Maybe you're going out of town after the holidays here. You want to have something in your pocket to hand over. A great gift idea is the gift of me time from Massage Envy. Again, until December 31st, when you spend $150 in gift cards, you'll get a free $40 promo card in return. Massage Envy, where better begins. This offer good in location only. Not available online. Terms do apply. See franchise locations for details. It's Massage Envy. What a great deal. $150 in gift cards and then get $40 in return. Massage Envy, delivering me time. Now we know why management wanted a live program, Doug, so we could do some hitchhiking jokes post-Christmas.
Right. It's very topical.
Learn about Tubby Timberlake, KG's performance at Seckman. Video has been submitted to the show. of in Seckman.
A lot of these are topics that just couldn't wait.
They couldn't wait till the new year. Next week, I'm out. Tim and Jackson will be back. Doug will be here. You've got the Design Air email of the day. You can always email into the show. Texters, callers, the Callier and Thompson phone line. And right now on the line, Dan Kelly, hockey announcer who gets to call some games at Wrigley Field. How often do we say a hockey announcer calling games at Wrigley Field? Dan, welcome aboard. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's an honor to be on the dossier today with you guys. Big fan of the show.
Doug, he's aware of the dossier.
Well, I guess he is on the dossier, yeah. We can maybe send you a copy of it for a
signed copy with your name on the dossier.
Big thrill for you, I'm sure.
Dan, we know about the Winter Classic. It sounds like the Big Ten and some of the premier hockey programs, I guess it makes sense once they set it up to also do some college hockey on that rink.
Yeah, they're calling it the Frozen Confines, the Big Ten Hockey Series, January 3rd and 4th. And it's just amazing. You know, I've had an opportunity to do a lot of outdoor games thanks to college hockey, but they're all at football stadiums. To do one at baseball stadium is going to be truly unique. And just, I mean, Wrigley Field's been around since 1916. And, you know, to watch college hockey is going to be unique. Chicago knows how to put on a show. Despite the Blackhawks' struggles, you're going to see Connor Bedard on New Year's Eve, you know, versus the Blues, and shifting back to the Blues game. I see ticket prices, just talking to my family, coming down on the secondary market a little bit. Those games are so expensive. You don't go to the outdoor hockey game for the sidelines. It's an event. So I'd encourage any Blues fans, if you're thinking about it, maybe make the trip up. But even, you know, back to the college hockey, you know, it's January 3rd. Michigan versus Ohio State, Penn State versus Notre Dame. January 4th, the ladies are going to play a game, Wisconsin versus Ohio State, and then the nightcap, Michigan State versus Wisconsin. Michigan State, number 2 ranked team this year. You're going to see their goaltender, Trey Augustine, who's trying to win his 3rd gold medal, I believe, with Jimmy Snuggerud and Team USA at the World Junior Tournament. Just some great players. And another player for Michigan State with St. Louis ties, Shane Van Soggy, just 18 years old, a freshman, lighting things up. Don't know much about his background, but he's a big power forward. So looking forward to watching him. But just like I said, you know, the weather looks awesome, too. Oftentimes, Chicago can be Siberia this time of the year. It's not going to be freezing cold for the Blues game. It's going to be a little colder for the college games because I've been studying the weather daily. But it should just be some prime conditions for great events.
You mentioned a couple players. Is St. Louis pretty good about producing top-notch college hockey players right now?
They are. It's amazing, especially watching the Big Ten Hockey Conference. I'm just like, where are these kids coming from? I mean, I don't really know amateur hockey that well in St. Louis, but I'd like to grab somebody's ear like Jamie Rivers or you know, Andy Strickland to talk about these kids whenever I run into them, because they are producing them, and you know, they're big time talent. It's amazing to see how quickly it's accelerated St. Louis hockey.
And are you offended, Dan, you being a Chicago guy now, that your brother John's on last week, he said he's not going to the Winter Classic, and he was a little concerned about the weather. The weather's breaking in our favor here. Should we call out your brother for not attending and hanging with you in Chicago?
Well, he wouldn't hang with me because I get there the day my family leaves, January 1st. But you know, rumor has it, I was over to his house last night. His daughters, Grace and Megan, are wonderful chefs. Rumor has it that they're, and along with John's wife, Jennifer, they're starting to lean towards going because this is a big family event for the Kellys. So
yeah, okay, good. I wanted to apply a little audio pressure here. Yeah. And when they bring the meal out, does John say thank you, thank you, thank you? No,
he does not.
It's a big miss.
That's a great point.
How does calling college hockey, NHL hockey, is there a difference, or if you call hockey at any level, for you as an announcer, is it the same?
It's very similar. With college, though, just playing 2 games a week usually, and these guys can fly just like the NHL guys can, of course. But they just have so rambunctious and so much energy. It's more, I'd say, a little more frenetic, which could lead to you know, entertaining hockey. My concern, selfishly, from Wrigley Field is I've called a lot of games, as I mentioned, from football stadiums, but the dimensions I was showing my brother John, it looks like you know, the field could be a long way away from our broadcast booth. So that's something I did. I did an outdoor game 2 years ago in Cleveland at their football stadium, and right away I decided, I'm calling this one off the monitor.
Doing hockey play-by-play is hard in and of itself, but to do it with teams that you probably don't know that well, that's got to make it a really difficult task.
It does, especially in the modern day college environment, like Wisconsin, for instance, and they're a wagon under second-year head coach Mike Hastings again, but they have 14 new players this year because of transfers and the extra COVID year we're still paying off. It's a different world. It's like covering an NHL team that completely transforms itself every summer.
Dan Kelly, our guest, he'll be calling Big Ten hockey at Wrigley Field, and after the Winter Classic, they'll put that ice to good use with some of the biggest brands, Michigan State, Wisconsin, and Doug alluded to it earlier. I think a lot of the emerging hockey talent from this area, we've seen it with, obviously Big Walt moves here, then Brady Tkachuk and Matthew Tkachuk are from St. Louis, not just Blues alumni, but don't you think the Blues influence, just the interest in the game, created the Clayton Kellers of the world? I mean, like all this hockey talent that's now at the NHL level, even a Pat Maroon, just because the Blues got popular, don't you think it drove the whole youth hockey market in this town?
100%. I mean, it goes back to Brett Hull in the arena. Even back when my late father was alive, rocking that place. Into the 90s, and of course, I mean, the Blues have just been. I think we sometimes. What did they make the playoffs 25 years straight? 1 year, a span, and we sometimes forget how good they've been. And then, of course, it culminated in 2019. But you mentioned all the Blues alumni and the people involved coaching. They're not just good coaches; they're good people. They make the game fun. So I think it's going to continue to see. You're going to continue to see a lot of stars, emerge from St. Louis, and just everything's changing too in the whole landscape of hockey, college hockey, major, junior. It's going to be interesting to see where it all goes. But at the end of the day, St. Louis is going to continue to be a powerhouse.
And your dad really does get a lot of credit, I think, for the enormous popularity of Blues hockey right from the first moment they stepped on the ice. Because to have the best announcer in the game doing our team, that had a huge impact on a lot of people, I think. I bet you still run into a lot of people who remember your dad.
I do, and that's kind of cool being back in St. Louis, and a great point by you. But, and especially back then, the iconic broadcasters, the Jack Bucks, the Harry Careys, the Dan Kellys, the list goes on. They just had so much power because there was usually, oftentimes there was just radio broadcasts, and you had to rely upon my father's booming voice and great description. And, I get it all the time, from adults now that so many kids would be watching West Coast games and they get in trouble because they'd all of a sudden hear my dad's booming voice in the other room. And they're like, Junior's time, it's time to go to bed. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that never gets old, and it's pretty special. And I also, I happen to think about it today is just how fortunate I am. There's few times in my career that my father would be jealous of me, but he never had a chance. There wasn't outdoor games back then. They first started, I believe, in the year 2000. Michigan State, Michigan was the first one, and then the first outdoor game in the NHL was 2003. So that's something I can kind of hang my hat on, that, my late father never had an opportunity to do an outdoor game, and I bet he would love to.
Mm-hmm. Dan, you and I talked a couple of years back, right before St. Louis City debuted. You did games for a long time with the Chicago Fire. You knew MLS, and knowing that league and just St. Louis's interest in soccer, what's your take after a couple of years now? I mean, I guess we all thought it would be popular, City SC, but the amount of gear, I mean, that's even Carolyn Kindle said that she didn't think they'd have the impact. Just merchandise, like everywhere you go, there's a city flag, a city shirt, whatnot. As somebody who was involved with the MLS, what's your read been on City's entry into the league?
They've done everything right, and I can see this coming, miles away. It's such not the kids, but that's the problem nowadays. I think a lot of sports are encountering is the young fans are not as dedicated like old people like us watching sports and leagues. But you get the youth with MLS and soccer. I mean, you just see the amount of soccer fields around the St. Louis area. But it's infectious. It's a powerful game. To see it at the pro level. I mean, just as I mentioned to you, I couldn't put it into words. You were asking me last time, Martin, what's the atmosphere like? I kind of compared a little bit to like college football, and it's organic, and you just never know what to expect. The singing, the constant energy, and again, it's a league where you're not playing every other night like an 84 game schedule or 100 plus games. So the games have more meaning, and it's a once a week gathering amongst families. So this, you could see St. Louis embracing it. And plus, I think St. Louis, they still have a thorn in their side from what Stan Kroenke and the St. Louis Rams did to this great community. So they want to rally around something like that. And what better than a great new sport coming to town?
Dan, most importantly, have you ever picked up a hitchhiker, or have you ever done any hitchhiking yourself? I mean, even back in the Dayton. Didn't you go to college at Dayton?
I did go to Dayton. It's funny you bring that up because I was going to go on my brother and I are going to go on a podcast with Tom Calhoun to talk about my late father next week, and I was just thinking of stories. I've run out of gas one time in my life. Well, actually, I didn't run out of gas. My dad did. I was like 6 years old, and we must have hitchhiked. I can remember getting in a truck, and a nice guy picked us up to get us some gas. So with the late Dan Kelly, that's the only time I've ever hitchhiked.
Wow. Well, there you have it.
Nobody had cell phones yet, and nowadays you just call and someone comes and AAA comes and gives you some gas. But back then, you hitchhiked.
Exactly. We didn't know how to operate without cell phones back then.
Dan Kelly, be on the call. Wrigley Field College Hockey, January 3rd and 4th. You've got Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Penn State. You have Michigan State versus the Wisconsin Badgers. Is that all, Dan? Is that on Big Ten Network?
Yeah, all on the Big Ten Network. I guess I should mention that, considering that's where I'm working for. And just a sidelight, too, just doing some notes today, because Maxim Sturbach, Slovakian, plays for Michigan State, back to the World Junior Tournament that's going on in Ottawa, Ontario. The other two captains, Dvorsky and I believe Pekarich is how you pronounce it. Those, of course, are both Blues prospects. There's 9 Blues prospects playing in the World Junior Tournament. So not to tout other networks and other hockey, but if you're a Blues fan, too, I'd keep my eyes glued on this World Junior Tournament, because it's kind of a stepping stone to greatness, from Wayne Gretzky to Jonathan Toews to Jimmy Snuggerud from the University of Minnesota. But 9 prospects, that's unheard of, and it's a great tip of the cap to the St. Louis Blues.
Dan, thanks for hopping on, checking in with the show. Have fun at Wrigley, and the update as well on John Kelly being pressured to going to the Classic at Wrigley Field. That's an update.
I think he needs to be there.
That's a follow-up from our visit with John. I guess that was earlier this week. Feels like last week.
Mm-hmm.
With the day off, it's so confusing. Dan, great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you guys, and put that JK note in the dossier, please.
JK note in the dossier. There you go. KG, you've been given us time as well. Dan Kelly checking in. He's with the Big Ten Network. A texter following up. Remember the comment that James Franklin, the former Mizzou quarterback, is going to West Virginia, and we said that can't be true. Mr. Big Cream screenshotted the tweet from James Franklin. 5 years is long enough. Time to lace him back up one more time. West Virginia, here I come. Take me home, country roads. Let's go. A 5-month journey out of a 5-year retirement to play football while also growing a business. Summer 2025. It does appear to be the Twitter account for James. I need to dig in a little deeper, Doug. I don't want to take it at face value just because it's in the text inbox. Do you take everything at surface level?
Absolutely. I trust everything I read.
Okay.
Everything.
Can you please ask Doug if we're still bumping uglies later today? That's from the 830 Recreator.
I don't trust that.
The 830 Recreator is texted into the show as well. That text line is the Air Comfort Service. Text line 399-9646. Collier and Thompson phone line. Talk to Dan Kelly on the phone line there. We also have the Clarkson time check. And the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day. I didn't hear at the end. Did Buck Swope come after Jackson because of the Miami of Ohio reference at the end of the program on Tuesday? You guys might have been out of time that day, too.
I think we ran low, and I don't think we had a good batch of emails, so I think we just scrapped it and said, hell, we'll do it on Thursday.
I can't wait for Kerber's return to talk to Jackson about saying Miami of Ohio is the worst college in America.
You think that's gotten back to him yet?
I think by now it's gotten. If
he wasn't listening live, he was probably listening
Probably
live.
was listening live.
I'm looking at these tickets for the Winter Classic game. The cheapest that I see on Vivid Seats is $178. That's upper deck center field bleachers. And some of the ones that look like the best seats in the house, $525, what they're asking.
Here, Doug, we'll go tarps off. Hitchhike to Chicago for the Winter Classic.
Okay.
Think of the content we could make topless hitchhiking to the Winter Classic.
We'd freeze.
Body heat, we can kind of rub up to keep warm.
Oh.
KG, what's black and blue and hate sex? The hitchhiker in my basement.
Oh, gosh.
Just awful. And keep them coming. 974. No, wait. The text line is 399-9646. The Morning After, presented by Brown and Croup.
You know what? Before we go anywhere.
We should hear from Tim again.
We haven't heard from Tim in a while, and I think we're going to have him tell us a little bit about Schaefer Door.
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to hear it.
You can always listen via the TMA STL app, which is presented to you by Schaefer Door Company and Jason Gosrow. That's Schaefer Door Company. This is the time of year. I bet a number of people in the audience have experienced this or will experience it over the next few days. When it's cold out, that's when garage door springs break, and that's what Schaefer Door Company fixes for you. I remember it happening to me, man, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, and I walk in, I said to my wife, I go, I don't know who I'm supposed to call. Well, now you know. Here it is. It's Schaefer Door Company. It's SchaeferDoor.com. SCHAEFER door.com. Call or text 636-782-3608. That's going to get the quickest response time. It's Schaefer Door Company, which also services commercial doors as well. So if you run a business or warehouse with big, tall doors, Schaefer is experiencing these types of jobs. Go to SchaeferDoor.com or call or text 636-782-3608. Schaefer Door, a Clopay Master Authorized dealer.
He almost lost it there at the end.
He did.
Poor Tim.
Wow. You feel bad for him even though he's not here.
I'm going to text him during the break, see if he's doing okay.
Can you bring him something perhaps?
Yeah, I'll swing by.
Tim's been heard from Dan Kelly, JR, the whole crew, but we now have to have the chairman's board meeting, which is on the dossier.
Smutting stuff.
Smutting stuff apparently on. I've got onboarding, but I can hang for just a little longer before the chairman takes over.
Whatever you can give us.
All right, that's our slogan here on the Morning After. It is the Morning After, brought to you by Brown and Crouppen, Martin, Doug, KG. We're back at it tomorrow. Doug, this wasn't enough for the holiday week. Before you kick it into next week and the new year, we're going to do one more of these on Friday.
Why don't we just stay and do another 3-4 hours now?
Well, you can. Yeah, that's fair.
I might come in on Saturday and do a little something.
Really? What would you do?
I don't know. Just spit hot fire, white hot heat.
Hot fire.
Are Saturdays wide open to anyone who wants to come in and
I mean, I know how to do
a little bit?
I know how to do that pretty much everything now. So,
So you could bum rush the station and take over.
Yep, national programming, get it out of here.
Oh, wow.
It's time for the board meeting.
Okay.
I am trying to direct message James Franklin for him. He follows me on Twitter, therefore I can message him. But I see the last time I did, he didn't respond. So this may not go anywhere. But that is a real tweet from him about going back to West Virginia.
Wow.
I don't know how that... Is there eligibility, I guess? We're going to try and get to the bottom of this. Meantime...
It used to be that once you started your college career, you had a 5-year clock that started. But obviously, those days are long gone.
Yeah.
He's only 33. I mean, I thought...
We're going to get to the point...
I'm just saying I thought he'd be older than that. I'm not saying that's young for a college quarterback.
No. But we're going to get to the point where a lot of people in college football and basketball are 27 or 28 years old. I mean, what's the point of it anymore?
Yeah, I don't know. I may see if I have any eligibility left.
Got it second. Maybe go back to play some high school ball.
I wonder. I always thought it would be a funny little video series to put somebody like me in some pads and just go have them knock it around with
in high school or college.
Either or. Funnier would be college. To watch me get destroyed,
just get steamrolled.
But yeah, and I was thinking about maybe putting in to be Truman for the upcoming football season.
Oh.
See if I can take that from one of the students that was probably counting on doing it.
It is the 10 o'clock hour, Doug, which is the chairman's hour. We're having a board meeting, apparently. What do you have in store? I screwed up and had that Stephen A. clip earlier.
No, like I told you, Smuttin' Stuff is welcome at any time. So you got a little taste of Smuttin' Stuff board meeting earlier with the Stephen A. audio. So we'll do Sadie Hawkins. We could look at one of the newest dating trends called Scrooging.
Now, what would that be?
You'll find out if you choose that one. Or
so we could just unhappy all the time?
I'm not going to spoil it. Or we can go old school and go, Dear Deidre, a man is worried that a bizarre habit that he has will end up getting him fired from his job.
Well, that sounds like it could be nasty.
I'll go with Scrooging.
Yes, I will too.
Go Scrooging? Mm-hmm. All right. So this is, where's this one from? The New York Post. It's asking, have you ever been dumped before Christmas? Scrooging dating trend reveals sinister motive behind holiday splits. No. It's the most wonderful time of the year, especially if you're in love. After a cuffing season spent courting, many new couples are spending the holidays cozied up together or meeting one another's families for the first time. However, other stunned lovers are finding themselves getting screwed over or Scrooged thanks to a dastardly new dating trend. According to Ask Men, Scrooging refers to the savage act of dumping a partner because you don't want to buy them a gift for Christmas or Hanukkah. People who break off relationships ahead of Christmas or a birthday often aim to avoid the financial expense of buying a gift, hence the Scrooge reference, the founder of Dating Scout, Chris Plines, told the website.
So the website was Ask Men, and then there was a dating site. A lot of references there.
Yeah, the New York Post just kind of aggregated it all and put it into this.
And this all started with cuffing season. I forgot what cuffing season is.
Well, cuffing season is when the time of year where you get yourself into a relationship. I think that happens in the fall.
So like you're handcuffed together now at this point?
Yeah, I think cuffing is like, being cuffed to someone you can cuddle with. And I think that's usually in the fall. Fall time starts cuffing season.
Okay.
There might be some overlap in the Venn diagram with ass-eating season.
Oh, no.
The Venn diagram got us to that?
But then, then you've got Scrooge season here right before Christmas where people are breaking off relationships so they don't have to buy a gift.
Yeah, I've heard about that at Valentine's Day, too. Save you a couple $100.
So,
and then the next day, you get back together?
I guess it's up to you.
I wouldn't discount this as a thing. A lot of these are made up. This feels real to me. Like you've probably got a couple of buddies. Oh, yeah, I got to get out of this. Why? Wow, it's Christmas. I got to, before it starts dropping the cash.
But if it's just a girlfriend, you don't feel like you have to spend too much money, do you? I mean, if it's a fiance or a wife, that's one thing. But for just a casual girlfriend, guys are still dropping hundreds?
I don't know. I'm not in that. I'm lucky enough to not have to worry about that right now, Doug.
Oh, are you? Okay.
I'm not in cuffing season. I'm not in Scrooging season. We're just solo season. Have you guys ever been Scrooged? You ever had any bad breakups in a rough time?
But does it have to be specific to a holiday?
Right there at Christmas?
Right before Easter,
Well,
didn't want to give me a
dossier.
basket.
If this just wanted to kind of expand the conversation in some different directions, I asked, what's the best/worst time of year to be dumped?
Best, worst time of year. I think like midsummer is fine, right? You got the whole summer to have fun.
Yeah.
Best and worst.
It would depend on who the other person is. If you're really in love, any time would be a horrible time. If you weren't much in love, it wouldn't really matter.
I think the best time would be like mid-spring.
Why would that be?
Because then
You really thought this out.
What other season is that?
It opens up the entire summer for you, where you won't be cuffed any longer. It gives you time to work on your body, to kind of get it ready for the shirts off, tarps off season.
Oh, for heaven's
sake. For an sinking performance.
Yeah. So if you're going to get dumped, I would hope it would happen mid-spring, give you time to really get ready for hot boy summer.
Oh, so like late April, early May, that's when you really want to be dumped?
Yeah, if it's got to happen.
Okay.
And the worst, probably right before the holidays. I mean, if you're not worried about the gift buying thing, I mean, it would kind of suck to kind of get blindsided, and then you show up to family get-togethers. Everybody's like, "Oh, where's
Susie at?" Yeah, it's a long story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the holidays. That's true. That is a true Scrooge move.
Right.
I would love to hear somebody call in or text in who did it for that reason.
Before you guys were married folk, did you have a reputation as being a heartbreaker? Did you break any ladies' hearts back in the day?
I wasn't a chronic dater at all.
No, me neither. No,
we don't live the single fun life of KG out there, just wowing the ladies on a regular basis.
Didn't have nearly enough game to do any of that.
Yeah, my exotic life of driving to Columbus, Ohio alone.
Did you hear about that, Doug?
No.
He went to the college playoff game the other night.
He did?
On Saturday.
By yourself?
Yeah, I woke up and decided about 10:30 I was going to check and see what the price of tickets were. And they were pretty reasonable. So I thought, you know what? I got no kids. I got nobody tying me down. F it. I'm just going to drive to Columbus. So
How long did that take?
Just a little touch over 6 hours.
Oh, that's not too bad.
So, yeah, drove to Columbus. Got there in time to walk 1.5 miles to the stadium. Got there just before kickoff.
Because parking was no doubt a big issue.
Yeah, public parking's tough. If you have passes, it looked a little easier. But just coming from out of town on a whim, I had to go to the public parking. But yeah,
what'd you pay for the ticket?
$66 after fees.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Way up high, no doubt.
Not too bad.
Really?
Corner end zone, great view.
All right.
But yeah, then left about the end of the third quarter. The game was kind of out of hand, so I got back on the road and pulled up to my South City house at 5:15 a.m.
Oh gosh, aren't you worried about falling asleep on the drive back home? Now, what is that supposed to mean?
Come on.
No,
the hitchhiker.
What are you suggesting?
Doug, the hitchhiker did all the driving.
No, you know, I knew if it got too bad, I was going to grab some little roadside motel and crash for the night. But get some podcasts every once in a while, crack the window, a little cold air come in there, and it wasn't a problem.
By the way, the Huntley Hamburglar says the worst time is right after the holidays, getting dumped after you already spent all the money on gifts.
That's true.
Yeah, that'd probably be better.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Because if you get dumped beforehand, you don't spend the money.
Yeah.
Worst time right after the holidays. Martin stayed over for this, question mark. It's a great from the 314. I do have some onboarding I got to wrap up before the end of the season. Doug, I may leave you in the hands of the chairman because it's
okay.
This is the board meeting.
Well, sure.
That's going on right now.
It's his gig now.
KG, they're asking for more food porn videos. Okay.
Yeah. Well, time has been of the essence lately. I haven't had time for some of those shenanigans, but, you know, maybe hearing this.
He's hard-pressed for time, Doug, when it comes to food porn.
What is food porn exactly?
I did it. It started as a way a couple years ago to mock our friend Iggy to do his when he did his cooking video. So I started doing mine, but I started making them kind of exotic. Put some sexy music underneath, and
my word.
Yeah, you know what?
While you're cooking.
Yeah, and then put the videos out.
Yeah.
Topless and topless has been a theme for me today. I'm noticing a trend. I don't know.
Gosh.
Kurt is the man. Give him the job already. That's from Wedding Tackle, who earlier told us that he graduated with a class of 312. We're talking about graduating class. Hooked up with 35 of them. Still talk to 23 of them. All guys school. That's from, that's from Wedding
35 of them?
Right. Doug, I don't. It's kind of like the Stephen A. question. I'm not sure if it needs to be taken at face value. Although Stephen A. did set him off on a big old rant. Hey, we got the clocks sorted out a little bit.
Yeah, not too bad.
Not too bad. BK and Ferrari are coming up at 11 o'clock. Brown and Crouppen presents the morning after. We'll wrap things up more from chairman of the board with the board meeting, and then we'll do it again starting at 7 tomorrow. We'll have a full dossier as well. It is the morning after presented by Brown and Crouppen.
Another Sports Center update. This is Chairman Kurt. This one's brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. No Blues hockey tonight. Bears and Seahawks in the NFL. But if you're fiending for some bowl action, we've got Pittsburgh and Toledo in the game above Sports Bowl, Rutgers and K-State in the Rate Bowl, and you've got Arkansas State and Bowling Green in the 68 Ventures Bowl. That was another Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer. And then there were two, Doug.
What's that?
Then there were two.
Only two of us left standing.
Yeah, just you and I.
Yeah.
Martin still doing the onboarding thing.
Mm-hmm. We used to have 4 or 5 guys running around here. Now there's 2. At least it's easier to park.
I feel like they left the most talented here. They knew they could get by with just the two of us.
I would think that that's the case. What was that bowl game you mentioned on that update? The Rape Bowl?
Oh, Doug.
Is that what you said?
Rate with a T.
Rate. Okay, that's better.
And I was surprised that there was no adjective or other word in front of it.
Just simply
it
rate.
Just says rate, the Rate Bowl.
What kind of rate are we getting?
Hopefully a cheap one. But you got the Rutgers, what are they, the Scarlet Knights?
I think so.
Then you got K-State, Bill Snyder and the K-State Wildcats.
He can't still be there.
Will Howard at quarterback.
No, he's with Ohio State now.
Oh. Who you got in that one, Doug? K-State?
I don't know.
-7.
Probably K-State.
The total's at 51.5.
Yeah. It's pretty hard to maintain much interest in these bowls, isn't it? Like next to impossible?
It was hard before. I think it's even harder now with the playoffs. I think it's now shined a spotlight on how meaningless these rate bowls, again, I want to emphasize Rate Bowl and the 68 Ventures Bowl. And you know how big of a Mizzou fan I am.
What is 68 Ventures?
I don't know.
We haven't even heard of the businesses that are sponsoring these bowl games.
Yeah.
It's got to be somewhat expensive to sponsor a bowl game.
And when you're like $15-20?
Oh, probably 30. But if you're a business that people haven't even heard of, does it make sense?
Could you imagine it? Like Barstool put their name on a bowl for the last couple years, I think down in Arizona. How awesome would it be if we saw that blue, red, and white Banty Rooster logo?
The TMA Bowl.
The TMA Bowl.
Here at the Dome.
I think it's probably wide open over there.
Well, you could probably get a date, I'm not sure what kind of teams you'd get.
Who do you reach out to, and like who's running college football? Who would I even email to say, "Hey, can we get a bowl?"
I think it's the Wild West at this point.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone's in charge.
Well, you know what? We're gonna take care of a little bit of business here as we wind down, getting ready for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day in the next segment.
All right.
But I think we all missed Tim, and he's gonna tell us about Jeff Lotman.
Okay, I'd love to hear him.
If you're in the market to buy a home, Jeff Lotman, JEFFLOTTMANN.com. If you're in the market to sell your home, Jeff Lotman, JEFFLOTTMANN.com. Jeff has been doing it in the St. Louis area going back 2 decades with $500 million in sales in St. Louis real estate. His website is jefflotman.com, JEFFLOTTMANN.com, and he is with Compass Realty. And with Compass, they have Compass Concierge, where you can take your home buying or selling experience to the next level. Whether you're preparing to sell or want to enhance your new space, Compass Concierge has you covered. No upfront costs, need fresh paint, new carpet, light renovations, home staging. Compass Concierge has you covered. Unlock exclusive benefits. Get your home market ready without upfront costs. Increase your home's value hassle-free. Ready to elevate your real estate experience? Contact us today to learn how Compass Concierge can transform your home. JEFFLOTTMANN.com.
Okay, Jeff Lotman.
And you know what? Just one more little piece of business.
What is this now?
I think we're going to have Tim tell us about Design Air.
Oh, that'd be good. Okay, go ahead. Hit the lever, please.
Design Air Heating and Cooling, Seth Goldcamp and his incredible team, the longest-running sponsor on TMA going back a decade, and the sponsor of our Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day. If you run into any heating issues whatsoever, just go to designairservice.com. I have been a client for a number of years. Martin Kilcoyne's been a client for a number of years. Doug Vaughn has been a client for a number of years. We recommend you become a client, and you'll become a client for a number of years as well. Anytime you have a heating issue, all you have to do is go to designairservice.com, and immediately you will be talking with somebody who can help you out and who will come over and fix it. No upselling. That's the tradition started by Seth Goldcamp's great-grandfather, and Seth keeps it alive today. It's Design Air Heating and Cooling online at designairservice.com.
All right, we're going to try to rush through it, but I think we got just enough time for just a little bit more smut and stuff, Doug.
Like, what did you have in mind?
So if you've been missing Dear Deidre, then sal in because I've got a Dear Deidre for you.
Oh, good one. Not too nasty.
This one's titled Toilet Break.
Oh.
I'm worried my habit will get me sacked from work.
Sacked.
Dear Deidre, people at work are starting to notice that I'm away from my desk for long periods of time. I'm worried I'll get sacked. The truth is, I'm masturbating in the toilets.
Oh, no, we don't need that.
I know I've got a sex addiction. If I can't have sex at least once a day, then I'm satisfying myself and the gents looking at pornography on my phone.
Oh.
I'm a man of 28. My girlfriend is 25. She's a nurse, so she does shifts and doesn't always want sex if she's tired from a long day. It causes us lots of arguments. I can't stop masturbating.
Stop it.
I've even done it under my desk when my colleagues were on a training course and I was the only one in my department.
Oh.
I know it's becoming an issue. Can you help? The good news is Deidre has advice, Doug. Deidre says, yes, I hope so. You are right in saying you have an addiction because you've recognized that your need for sex is interfering with your day-to-day life. Sex addiction can occur as a result of early trauma, and you could explore more about this through podcast held by the Pivotal Recovery Program, and that's spelled with an E on the end.
No, I don't like it.
The podcast guide you through the 6 steps of recovery along with an interactive digital workbook. Having the support of
digital workbook.
Yeah, that's over at pivotalrecovery.org.
I'm not going there.
Having the support of your girlfriend would help you do so. Would help you. What? Having the help of your girlfriend would help you, so do talk to her about it so that she can encourage you to find the professional help you need. I'm also sending you my support pack called How to Look After Your Relationship, which will ensure that you manage your expectations.
Okay.
So I think we got that figured out, Doug.
I don't know. It feels like she's just trying to make a buck off these people.
Well, if you've been missing Dear Deidre, I tried to sneak one in for you.
Okay.
So
it's a rough one.
All right. Well, we got one more segment left.
Okay.
We're going to take a quick break and come back with the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day on 101. This is TMA, presented to you by Brown and Crouppen.
All right.
I'd like to talk with you about aesthetic design and build, and Dan and his team at Aesthetic Design and Build. They have a showroom in Chesterfield Valley, which I have visited, and they walk me through all the different types of custom work they are capable of doing, from a full-on custom deck, adding on a pergola, or even looking to shade your covered patio with retractable screens. Then they came to my house and showed me what they could do with our outdoor space. The best thing is they don't take this high-pressure sales route or come back weeks later with a gimmicky discount. They encourage you to go out and do your research, and they're confident that once you compare the work that they do with what else is out there, you will see that they are the better choice at Aesthetic Design and Build. That's aestheticdesignandbuild.com. Let them know that I sent you their way when you call 636-532-5008 or visit them online at aestheticdesignandbuild.com. Ready to take your outdoor space to the next level? Dan and his team at Aesthetic Design and Build have you covered. Let them know I sent you their way at aestheticdesignandbuild.com.
Welcome back to TMA 101 ESPN. Final segment, Doug.
Okay, this is the email segment.
We made it.
We got a lot of emails? Any emails?
I got 4 of them in the filtered file.
Okay.
And I'm just going to tidy a few things up here before we get to it.
Yeah, you gotta censor some of them.
What was your favorite part about today's show, Doug?
Oh, I don't know. I guess the hitchhiking talk. It's a subject that isn't brought up enough.
It had more legs than I would have thought it did. There were a lot of text about it.
Topic.
Talked with Mr. Kelly about it, Jeremy Rutherford. And if you missed any of it, you can go back and podcast. That'll be up a little later. That's going to take me a little longer to get to it today. Doing a couple different things today. So the podcast will be up just in a little bit. But I think now is a perfect time for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day.
Okay, we'll do that. You go ahead and hit the music. All right.
We got prizes today, Doug?
I don't know that we have prizes. Do we ever have prizes?
I don't know.
Okay.
If Doug and I were married, life would be grand.
Oh, gosh.
My sweaty appendages I would lay in his hand. I'd bend over so he could ride me.
Okay, that's
and then
enough.
It gets graphic.
All right, that's enough. Who was it?
Dirty Bird?
Dirty Bird has been suspended. He's been suspended a period of 2 days' time. His name, as we speak, is going into the Illinois Recovery Center.com suspension log. No, I don't expect it does feel very good. It's designed not to.
Ahoy. Great stuff from you schleppers. This ma'am, I mean. Speaking of that, I'd like to harken back to an earlier convo regarding what your tens of listeners are doing today. Your homeboy is off work for the rest of good old 24. I'm just sitting haphazardly on me couch, sans britches, waiting for Doug to get back over here.
Okay.
Hurry up, Dougie. This class ring ain't gonna insert itself up me poop shoot. How do you do?
What?
Big eek. Consorts, Therns, no foolin'.
What in the world?
Lefty
Jack Smear with a poor email. It could be one of those days where we have no winner.
That doesn't happen very often, but if nobody deserves it, then nobody deserves it.
They won't get it. Yeah.
This show is terrible without Tim. But this email is about the first time I was embraced by another man's hands.
Oh, gosh.
1999, our annual Miss Hickey College all-male secretary fraternity Christmas trip to the Greek islands. Our tour bus driver said, "Time for some shut-eye. We'll be there in a couple of hours." I was too amped up to sleep. All of a sudden, the khakied stranger to my right covered us both with his blankie. You heard the driver. It's time for you to sleep. Right now. With me. I thought it was going to be just your typical makeout sesh. When he took it up a notch, I want to spread some holiday cheer, and by cheer, I mean my legs.
Oh.
I fell asleep after the lovemaking. When I woke, both satisfied and sore, I asked him if it was New Year's yet. He just smiled and said, "I don't know the years, Slim." That comes from first name Betty. The last name is Bangzum?
Bangzoom, I believe is how that's pronounced.
Bete Bagzoom.
Bagzoom.
And
we got any good ones? Anything at all that can be read in mixed company?
I got this one.
Okay.
Sadie Hawkins, Doug. The Missouri Chiefs beat the Steelers on Netflix while Spready's older brother was listening on 101. Martin once drunk-dialed Marshall Faulk at the height of his fame to impress his friends and was scolded by the reigning NFL MVP and told never to do this again.
Mm-hmm.
Doug once hitchhiked when his car broke down in Iowa and was picked up by an older couple who took him back to their place and presumably hoped to engage in the more popular MMF.
No, they didn't.
But Doug just got his car fixed and left town without banging anyone. But I think the lead is that Chairman Kurt used to dress up as a Tubby Timberlake in order to impress high school girls from Jefferson County as he danced to NSYNC songs with 4 of his dork friends who he no longer has regular contact with. Hope everyone had a nice holiday. I shipped my family's annual God's Eye tournament, which is a sport my brother Paul and I invented in the 90s, which is effectively horse with God's Eyes ornaments thrown at a Christmas tree. I posted the tournament photos to my personal Facebook page only for my brother's friend Michael to question when my brother last participated, then compared winning in his absence to winning email of the day with no Misty Plops, Matt Who Bowls at Hank's, or Deke Dotem. Shout out to everybody working today, especially my friends selling cars and slinging drinks. For everyone else, it's tops off, edibles in.
Oh.
That comes from Buck Swope, 2003 graduate of the worst school in America, according to Libby Jack.
Buck Swope, graduate of Miami of Ohio, worst school in America.
And that's what we have for the Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day. It's a 2-man vote, Doug.
The first 3 emails were so utterly horrific that it has to be Buck Swope.
You're telling me you didn't like Dirty Bird?
Nope. No, I didn't.
I agree. Buck Swope.
Buck Swope wins again. Yeah.
Where's that button?
Didn't take him much to win this one.
Congratulations.
Buck Swope has won today's Design Air Heating and Cooling email of the day. And that's going to do it, Doug. 4 hours in the books.
All right.
We'll be back at it again tomorrow.
Okay, let's try it again tomorrow and see if we can bring some heat.
For Martin Kilcoyne, for Douglas Elvin Vaughn, for Jackson Burkett, for Tim McKernan, for his brother Kevin, I'm Chairman Kurt. This has been TMA on 101 ESPN, brought to you by Brown and Crouppen.